total non-stop action wrestling. So let me get this straight. Your two big angles, your two big storylines are rehashing the Four Horsemen. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not the Four Horsemen, it's Fortune, as Ric Flair would say. It's Fortune, even though we use the same hand signal, which does Ric Flair speak. It's whatever it is, it sounds like something out of the Star Wars universe. But total non-stop action wrestling. So let me get this straight. Your two big angles, your two big storylines are rehashing the Four Horsemen. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not the Four Horsemen, it's Fortune, as Ric Flair would say. Okay, so that's Fortune, even though we use the same hand signal, which does Ric Flair speak. It's ECW, even though WWE already rehashed it like 97 times, and it sucked almost every single time they did it, with the exception of the first reunion show. They never really recaptured ECW in any way that was respectable. So why the hell are you trying to do it? In fact, hell, for those of us who, been watching TNA for a long time, they did an ECW stable back in like 03. And didn't you all burn the E was cool, the NWO was cool, DX was cool, Four Horsemen was cool back in the 80s. But these concepts get old, and these used to be. Anytime you rehash something, it's never as good as it once was. And I know...
Who the hell is that clown? Who's that young kid? Who is that guy? Jeez, look at all the baby face I got going on there. That's crazy. Oh my god. Alright, can you all hear me? Can you all see me? Alright, I see the chat's open. Actually, let's pull up the chat. Yeah, chat's pulled up. Alright, we're good. Alrighty. I turned to Forrest Gump. That's pretty good. Oh, my goodness. Why is the chat not coming up on the screen? Yeah. Alrighty. Alright, seeing some names here. Alright, I see We Are Pro Wrestling, John Christophic, Jedi Alex, Mr. Gov, how are you? Thanks for all the well wishes. Loud and very loud. Okay, great. Yeah, so I decided for this special occasion for the 10th anniversary I would wear the original hat that I wore in my first video. Still have it. And this jacket, which is the exact same jacket I was wearing when I filmed my first video. It's a little bit more ratty now, but still in mostly good condition. It's my Giants jacket, so I love having it. But it is also extremely hot out today, so I think I'm going to take the jacket off. The reason I was wearing a jacket in my original video is because the place I was living at, the AC, the people I was living with at the time, they would turn the AC up to down to 65. And so it was practically freezing when I was filming. And I didn't have any say in the matter, so, it was what it was. But yeah, I wanted to do the 10th anniversary stream today. Thought it would be fun to do, especially for my longtime viewers, and talk about kind of the history of the channel and what it's meant to me. And then we would close out. Well, in between, I would also do a not a review because I didn't see the show, but I would read the results of Slammiversary 2020, which I have not read any results for, so it would be a live reaction to the results of the show. And do a preview of Extreme Rules, which I forgot to do in my last video, because I did not know it was coming up this weekend. That tells you how closely I'm paying attention to WWE. We are using 10th anniversary correctly. Yes, we are using 10th anniversary correctly in this context. Oh, my goodness. We're absolutely using it correctly. I started in 2010. It is now 2020. That is 20 years. Or 10 years. God, 20 years. Jesus. Thank you, everybody. See, Alex has joined. Kogan's Run, welcome. Thank you, thank you. Jet the Hawk, welcome. We got some familiar faces here. I like it. But, Yeah, I wanted to talk about my time here on YouTube and what it's meant to me. And I fully recognize that I did not garner a huge audience. I think my subscriber count, last I checked, was around 1,800. So I'm not like this big-time, fancy schmancy YouTuber here, there, now yet. But I'm okay with that. And I was always okay with that. I never liked the idea of becoming internet famous or YouTube famous or turning this into something that I could make a living off of. That was never the goal for me. The idea of, I don't know, being as successful as something like AVGN or what Channel Awesome was like back in their early days, that just seems like something that was unattainable for me. But what this YouTube channel did do for me is that at a time in my life where I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, and certain job opportunities I'd had didn't quite work out. What YouTube did for me was that it gave me like an escape for at least a little bit, and gave me like an opportunity to kind of vent my frustrations at something, even if it's something as simple as a hobby like pro wrestling, and make me feel better, give me something to enjoy while I was trying to figure out everything in my life. Now, here we are 10 years later. My life is in a much better place than it was 10 years ago. I own a car. I'm a homeowner now. I've created a pretty successful career for myself that I'm very proud of and I'm very happy about. But I still keep coming back to YouTube because I enjoy doing it, and that's the thing. For me, this is fun. It's purely a hobby, and I kind of like the idea of... Because when I first got on YouTube, it was treated more like a video message board in a way. Because I remember back when we were doing like video responses to each other, which I kind of miss, actually. I felt like that led to some pretty interesting discussions, just being able to respond directly to each other's videos. And YouTube has long since gotten rid of that, but... Yeah, I first decided to do it when I got a new laptop that had a webcam built into it. And I saw what was going on YouTube at the time. True Slayer was making videos. He actually posted my first video up on his channel, which is why my first video got so many views compared to the rest of the videos I've made over the years. So I would really like to thank him for that, because not only was he an inspiration for me, but he also helped me in my first video and was very encouraging about me making future videos after that. PS Power was an inspiration on me. His opinions on things were more along the lines of how I think and feel, but like a more extreme version of it. But I always found him to be very entertaining. I always liked him. And he still makes videos every once in a while. Not regularly, but every once in a while he'll come out with something. And Bill and Doug were a big inspiration for me. I'm going way back into the YouTube wrestling history here. Because, it's these two guys that had very strong opinions, and they just went off on, just kind of went out there and went off. And I was like, this is fun. I kind of like this. And so they were an inspiration to me. Also, Spinnernet was one that was around at the time that I drew inspiration from as well, and he was very encouraging towards me. So, I saw all these other people doing it, and I thought, holy hell, I'll do it too. And along the way, I've gotten some people that regularly come on here and comment on my videos and have been very encouraging to me. Kyle Enjoys Wrestling was his original name. He was here almost from the very beginning, I think, on my videos. Alex Calderon, shout out to you. You've been around for a really long time. Fernando Estrada, I think he's been around for a really long time. And of course, the former Deluxe man, Alex, who was also very encouraging and tried to help me in various ways in making this channel work and operate and everything. So huge shout out to him. He's always been very kind to me, and I very much appreciate it. So again, even though I don't consider myself like a huge YouTuber or anything, I do appreciate the support that I've gotten over the years. So to anybody that's ever left a comment or liked or subscribed to me or anything like that, I greatly appreciate it. And that's why in my videos I don't always do it, but I try to respond to all the comments in my videos, even to this day, because it's just something that I appreciate it that people, for whatever reason, would pay attention to a Mickey Mouse sounding motherfucker like myself. So once again, it's all great, and thanks again for making this something that I enjoy doing, because that's why I'm still making videos to this day and why I still plan on making videos. But God, I gotta tell you, I really kind of... it's been both a blessing and a curse the way YouTube has changed over the years, because I remember when I first got on, they had like a 10-minute restriction. I think it was 10 or 15 or something like that. So I had to be like really concise and get to the point with my videos. And now that there's no time restrictions and I can go as long as I want, sometimes I ramble now. It's like part of me kind of misses the restrictions, but it also means I can put whatever I want in my videos and not worry about it. I can post a 3-hour video of movie reviews, and that's totally fine. So, but yeah, let's check up on the chat here. Yeah, Extreme Rules is happening. I'm shocked. This year has felt like 20 years. Well, it is 2020. We Are Pro Wrestling. Oh, by the way, We Are Pro Wrestling. He's another channel that you guys should subscribe to. He's really good. I really enjoy the dude's work. And he's another one that's been very supportive of me, and I really appreciate it. I don't know. What is the bronze anniversary? Silver's 50, right? I mean, I don't know how those numbers work. Yep, yeah, the 10, 15-minute time limits. I remember those. Change my name back to NYG for Life 1, 2, 3. Yes, my original name. God, when did I change that? At least a couple years ago, right? PS Power is awesome. I like the dude. He's got a great sense of humor. I always loved like his WWE then and nows that he would do. Those were always got a laugh out of me. Been watching for over 6 years. YouTube pure title rules 10 minutes only. Where did I get the idea to use sunglasses? I got them, and I got the idea to use sunglasses, and I'll do it again here. You may notice when I do videos, you'll notice that my eyes kind of dart all over the place, and I've heard that that's like a sign of nervousness, and it's not that I'm nervous, it's just that I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to say. And I was very self-conscious about that, because I filmed that first video, I filmed it first, watched it, I was like, holy shit, that isn't going to work. So I put the sunglasses on to cover up the fact that my eyes are darting up all over the place. Now, I'm in a position where I've been on here for 10 years, and I don't think anybody really cares that they see my eyes darting all over the place. And also, I use a lot of notes. I have it up on my second screen here. So I don't really see the reason to have wear the sunglasses anymore, even though the problem never really got fixed. 7 Deadly Sins, welcome. I don't think I've seen your name in a while. I remember you. Been watching me since 2014. Oh, so you caught the Godzilla videos when I went absolutely nuts over Godzilla. Thank you, I appreciate it. Jake Owens, another longtime viewer, hello. Welcome aboard. That beard is Nordics. You know, it's funny, I'm actually dating a girl now, and she's trying to get me to get rid of the beard, so the beard might not stay for very long. Too much longer. Nordic. The beard is Nordic. Oh yeah, I look like a Norse god, don't I? I'm Thor's younger brother that nobody knows about. Even Loki is more famous than me. So, yeah, I think I'm done thanking everybody. Well, I mean, you're never really done thanking everybody, but yeah, it's been a blast here on YouTube, and I really enjoyed it, and hopefully those of you who view my videos, hopefully you've all enjoyed it as well. So, I guess now we'll do some Q&A first, and then I'll get into Extreme Rules and Slammiversary, and we'll talk about that. Then we'll close out with more question and answers. So, I would like to open the floor to question and answers. Anything you want to ask me, go right ahead. And when I say anything, you can ask me literally anything. The beard shall go down in history. Jack Kieran, oh my goodness. Been watching me since 2011. Yeah, I know you. I remember you. Matt Chapman, you've been around for a while too, haven't you, Matt? I'm probably the only person who likes the cheesy Godzilla films more than the modern ones. Actually, a lot of people like the Showa films more. They just, yeah, that older classic look. First video of mine you saw was the worst years of Raw video. Oh my god. Oh my god. Was that the one I did in building up to the the worst Raw in history. It was kind of like a preparation for the worst Raw in history video, because that was one of my favorite videos that I did. Okay, John Christophic. What do you do for a living? I am a cybersecurity... The title keeps changing, but I'm a cybersecurity auditor, basically. I'm an internal auditor that, tells people whether or not they're secure and whether or not they're doing something wrong. Lou the Giant Cookie. I don't think I've seen you in a while. Maybe it's because I haven't live streamed in such a long time. What's your funniest moment in wrestling history? The one I always go back to is the Mountie getting thrown into jail. That's one that always sticks out to me. Bobby Heenan has a lot of great ones. The Rock and Sock Connection had a lot of great ones. But for some reason, the one I always go back to is the Mountie getting thrown into jail. First video I saw, why do we hate John Cena? I would actually go back and remake that one because I feel like there's more to say there. But yeah, that's an early one. I remember that one being pretty early. Top 5 videos you feel are your best work. Oh, I really like one that I did in the first year was mapping out WrestleMania. So basically, I tackled WrestleMania 14. And I mapped out how the storyline for Austin versus Michaels goes all the way back to 1997. And just bit by bit showed how the storyline grew and evolved and how it perfectly built into WrestleMania 14. And I think that video highlighted like where my mind goes sometimes, where a lot of these rushing matches to conclusions really bother me. When you can take your time and slow down and put all the take your time to put all the right pieces into place. Other 4, okay, so what is that, 4 more? Worst episode in Raw history. I really enjoyed making that one. And to go outside of the wrestling bubble, I really enjoyed making the top 20 He-Man episodes. I recently did one for Thundercats too, but I like the He-Man one more. I think that one turned out better. And, alright, 2 more. I really liked the massive WrestleMania weekend video I did after 29 because I attended WrestleMania 29. So get to, kind of relive that entire experience was great. It was actually kind of like, for me, it was like the end of the weekend to film that video. So that was a good one. And one more. I really enjoyed doing the different WrestleMania series that I did, like rebooking WrestleMania. But I think the best one I did was showcasing the Immortals. That one... I had a lot of fond memories of doing that one, even though I think there was a death that happened right as I was filming one of them. It was either Paul Bearer or the Ultimate Warrior. I don't remember. No, it would have been Paul Bearer, I think. And I'm pretty sure Paul Bearer had passed right before I was about to film the Undertaker video or something crazy like that. But showcasing the Immortals was one that I really enjoyed. All right. I remember when the Q&As used to be a 20-minute video. Those were bitches to edit, by the way. I tried to be fancy in editing those, and that was a pain in the ass editing those. Is Bestiality Sex Angles Katie Vick? It should be, but nobody seems to remember that one. That's an angle that people seem to forget about. Did you think you would be doing the YouTube 10 years later? No, I did not. I honestly did not. 2009 still sucked? Yes, it did. Ever plan on redoing any old videos or video series? No, I think a lot of them are kind of outdated now, but I think, I'm not the type of guy that likes to go back in time and tinker with old stuff. I'm like, it's there, it exists at that point in time, and for me it's fine to exist. I might, do an addendum to one at some point, but I don't plan to actually go back and remake any of the videos. I like the 80s and 90s Godzilla movies the most. I really like those too. Vince slam dunked Easton Cronky. Yeah, Enos! God, I get flashbacks, horrible, horrible flashbacks whenever I watch that video, or whenever I think about that episode of Raw. Don't you like the way leather feels against your body? It actually feels quite nice. It's actually, not so bad. Feeling the leather. First video I saw was the top 10 most overrated WrestleMania matches. A lot of people I talked to liked that video, and I'm shocked because I thought that one was going to get me in trouble. First time commenter, long time follower. Thank you. I appreciate it. You were one of my favorite posters on WrestleForum. I still post there. Not as often as I used to, but I still post there. Try to find out who's me. Love your content. I appreciate it. Maybe you could turn it into a Why We Hate series. Oh, that might be an idea. Would you do rebooking videos? Well, funny you should mention that. I kind of have one coming up. I was toying around with the idea of doing a what went wrong / what went right, comparing Starrcade 97 to Wrestlemania 14, because those are two, I would say, the two most pivotal pay-per-views of the late 90s, and one is a show where almost everything went wrong, and one is a show where almost everything went right. And I think it'd be cool to contrast and compare. And for the show where everything went wrong, I think it'd be cool to like talk about what should have happened, what could have happened, and if everything had been right, how that show could have been one of the most amazing shows of the late 90s. How do you think Shawn Michaels in the 90s on Twitter would be like? Oh God, he'd be... Well, first of all, he'd probably get banned from Twitter because he'd call somebody a faggot or something like that. I mean, Shawn was just such an asshole back then that I don't think he would survive very long on Twitter. Your rebooking WrestleMania 11 video is a classic. Thank you. I remember doing that one, and that was at my stage where I was trying to find my voice and what I wanted, how I wanted to portray myself on YouTube. And I think that one, I tried like some comedy bits. We'll call them comedy bits, kind of similar to what like Channel Awesome would do or something like that. And I wasn't satisfied with those, but it's like, fuck it, I filmed them. But, you know, it is what it is. I was still learning and growing at that point. When I called Alberto Del Rio the best baby... Hey, there was a solid window there when he was a really good babyface for like a month. And it's, yeah, that didn't age well. That did not age well. But when he went back and helped, oh God, what was his ring announcer's name? Ricardo? And he went back and helped him. I'm like, yeah, that was cool. That was cool. What went wrong? COVID-19. Oh God, everybody and everything went wrong with COVID-19. Would you ever do a rebooking the invasion angle? I would, except I feel like it's been done. I feel like a lot of people have had that discussion about what exactly went wrong with the invasion, and to, if I were gonna like rebook it, I would have to do like, okay, mid-01 to WrestleMania 18, what do we do in that window? And that's probably what it would be, but I'd have to like really, really think about it. Well, I mean, I make fun of Kurt Angle for the bestiality angle all the time. It wasn't his fault. I also think part of it with Triple H is that people know he has power in the company. So it's like, why would you allow yourself to be in that position to do that angle? Like, what are you thinking? Angle, I imagine, had very little say in the matter. What's your favorite promotion, and has it changed in the last 10 years? I don't really have a favorite promotion. My heart is with, like... I have different promotions at different periods that I really like. Like, I really liked mid-80s to late 80s WWE, WWF at the time. I liked Jim Crockett Promotion during that same time period. I liked 96, 97 WCW. I like late 90s WWE into 2000. TNA at various periods I thought was very good. Like 05, 06, 07, like in that range, I thought TNA was very, very good. Didn't last, but, you know, Lucha Underground is one of my favorite shows that I've seen. NXT at various points has been very good. So, yeah, I don't really have a favorite promotion. I just kind of... You get those hot periods where a promotion gets really hot, and those are the ones that I remember the most and the ones that I really enjoy. Okay, should Goldberg's title win over Hogan have been saved for Starrcade? Or was WCW ready to strike the iron when it was hot? You know, they get a lot of criticism for that, and I feel like that was the time period where WWF and WCW were just in an arms race against each other to try and deliver the best shows possible. I mean, people forget, like, they had Kane versus Austin, where Kane beat Austin for the belt in that first blood match, and then Austin won the title back from him the very next night. The company would just do stuff like that. Survivor Series 98, Rock wins the title, and then the very next night, the main event was Rock versus Austin for the title, which you could say kind of like undercut WrestleMania, but back then, that's kind of what both companies did. It was a ratings war, and they were trying to beat each other. So Goldberg beating Hogan was not a shock at that point. Well, I mean, it was an amazing moment. It was an amazingly executed moment. But it wasn't like you would expect to see that type of stuff on TV back then. So it wasn't. It was just the nature of the time period. Could they have saved it for Starrcade? I think so. That would have been my mindset to save it for Starrcade, like they did the year before with Sting. But would Goldberg have been able to stay hot at that point for 6 more months? I don't know. That's they would have had to book that correctly. All right, Lou the Giant Cookie. Shawn Michaels would leave Twitter in a week because of a knee injury. Yep. No, it would be like a finger injury. He can't type. That would be his excuse. I know you probably aren't doing any end of the year awards this year. No, I'm not. I'm not even going to bother with it. But do you think the Stadium Stampede match will be the match of the year? Honestly, my match of the year would probably be Okada Naito from night 1 of. Okada Naito from night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom, where Naito won both belts. That would probably be my match of the year, but, yeah, I mean, Stadium Stampede, it's probably the match I've enjoyed the most since COVID happened, but at the same time, it's like, I'm just sick and tired of the COVID shows, so I'm not even going to bother with end of the year awards. Sorry. What about Macho Man Randy Savage on Twitter? That would be awesome! If Savage was on Twitter, that would be amazing! Oh yeah, snap into it! He would write that every day. YouTube veteran. I don't know if I'd call myself a YouTube veteran. I haven't gotten that gold play button or whatever that is yet, but I'm a long time user of YouTube. That's how I would frame it. First video I ever saw was the wrestling character gimmicks that could have worked. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. I really appreciate the kind words. Who would have been the best wrestler to follow in the 80s and or 90s on Twitter and Twitter existed? Best wrestler to follow? Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner, I think would have been absolutely hilarious on Twitter. Especially when he started to come on as Big Papa Pump in '98. Like, the idea of that man having a Twitter when he was at his hottest, I think would have been amazing. COVID-19 buried the entire roster. It sure did. AJ Xfinity Extreme. Wow, there's a name out of the past. I don't think I've seen you comment on my videos in a while. But yeah, you were around almost from day one, if I recall. Doesn't it feel great that Cena isn't involved with the WWE as much anymore? I mean, yeah, but at the same time, the mess that's been left behind has been not great. So, Cena's not there anymore, but it's not like the WWE got better without him. So, are you a Madden guy or do you prefer the old NFL 2K series? I don't think I ever played NFL 2K. I was always a Madden guy. I haven't gotten any of the newer Madden games. I don't think I've played a Madden game since like 08, 09. But I was more of a Madden guy. Would you have had the big WCW names come out and ruin the ending to Mania 17 to start the invasion? That would have been a great idea. Theoretically, let's say they got the big name stars to make the invasion work, and you end the show with Goldberg doing a run-in and spearing both Austin and Rock. That would have been amazing. That would have been incredible. But, Did you ever have dreams of being a wrestler when you were a kid? No, because I learned pretty early on that wrestling involved everything I'm bad at combined with everything that I hate, which is I hate lots of travel. I hate being in front of a crowd. I'm bad at acting. I'm not the best athlete in the world. It's just, I just knew it was something that was never in my wheelhouse. What went wrong? The Joe versus Angle series. They blew their load. That's what happened. They did the match too early. That's a match that should have gotten a year-long build-up. Would you have done Sting versus Goldberg at Starrcade? You know what? Well, Sting got hurt in '98, so that would have been scrapped anyway. But it would have been cool to see at Starrcade. It would have been cool to see if we'd ever gotten to a point where WCW didn't shoot themselves in the foot and stayed hot. I think that would have been really cool. Wait. Okay. We talk about the ratings for the Monday Night Wars, but what about the demo? Well, the demo has always been the most important part of the ratings. That's not a new thing. And this discussion that's been going on lately. Now, granted, I would like to make it perfectly clear, AEW's ratings and NXT's ratings are not ideal. Regardless if you look at the overall rating or the demo, it's like you would want them to be much higher than that. But even going back to the Monday Night Wars days, the demo was the most important part. It's just that I think in the rat race against each other, I think WCW and WWF, it sounded better to talk about the overall audience score. But really, I mean, the demo, even back then, the demo was what was most important. And when WCW was beating them, they were winning the demo. When WWF got the crowd back and got things back on their side, they were winning the demo, like, insanely well. So it's... So, yeah, the demo's always been the most important part of the ratings. Because that's what advertisers care about. And for some reason, only in wrestling circles do they care about the overall audience score. It's really quite interesting. I think the Monday Night Wars are the reason for that, to be honest. Will Ospreay and Hiromu Takahashi in Wrestle Kingdom Night 1 was also amazing. Yes, it was. That match was incredible. What other wrestling YouTube channels do you enjoy, and which ones influenced your own channel? Well, I talked about PS Power was probably the biggest influence on me when I first got on. True Slayer was an inspiration. Bill and Doug, those guys. Deluxe Man, Alex, is one that I always drew some inspiration from because he's just such a naturally charismatic and fun guy. I always wished I could be a little bit more closer to him as far as his charisma and how naturally funny he is, but that's not something, I've just kind of worked with the tools that I have. One that I always liked, I don't know if he still makes videos, but Wrestling Jesus, I think he was super hilarious to me, because I couldn't tell if that was naturally him or if he was doing a bit, like playing a character. I couldn't tell, but he felt like the type of guy, like if a Canadian was in a Kevin Smith movie. Like, he just had that vibe to him, and I'm like, I thought he was super, super funny. Whether it was intended or not, I don't know. Now, one that was an inspiration to me in kind of a negative way was, God, what was his name? He got famous for, I think it was like Master Boo Boo or something like that, where he cut the promo after Punk cashed in the Money in the Bank and beat Jeff Hardy for the belt. And Edge and Jeff Hardy had main evented that pay-per-view, and he went absolutely ballistic and cut like a shoot promo bomb on Punk and how he sucks and how he's a faggot and how Ring of Honor sucks and all this other stuff. And I knew, watching that video and the reaction to it, which was like, oh dude, this is cringy as fuck. When I saw that video, I was like, okay, I know not to do that. Like, do not be like that guy. Yeah, so that one was one for me. And, where was I going with this? But, other YouTube channels, I like some of the more modern ones that you see now, even though they're a lot more professionally edited. Like the What Culture videos, I think are really good, and things like that. So yeah, there's plenty of good wrestling YouTube channels out there. So you see more shoot interviews, out there on YouTube these days, which are also kind of fun. Have you seen all of the Undertaker documentary episodes, and do you believe Undertaker is officially retired? Yes, I've seen them all. I think I reviewed them. I know they said they were doing like a new episode, like a epilogue or something like that, but I haven't seen that. If it's posted, I don't even know if it's posted. Might be posting tonight, who knows. But yeah, I saw the documentary episodes. No, I do not believe he's retired. I think the minute we get back to having crowds, Taker's going to have one last match in front of a crowd. But I think he's very, very close to it. Fun fact, Goldberg actually had 2 matches the night he beat Hogan. Yes, he did. The first match was against Scott Hall. If I had to know one important question that I'm sure you've hardly discussed, what are your thoughts now on Triple H versus John Cena at WrestleMania 22? You son of a bitch. I am never going to escape that match. Yeah, I hated it then. I hate it now. It's a match that I don't care for, and a lot of it is because I felt like Edge should have been in the main event that year. So I'm salty. I mean, admittedly, I'm salty over that. But god damn it, I'm never going to escape that match. I even did a live stream where I rewatched the match, and it's like I'm still never going to get out from under that match's shadow. First video I saw was your WrestleMania 27 review. That was probably one of my least favorite videos that I ever did, because I was sick as a dog when I filmed it. I remember I had like the flu or something, and I was so sick. And I filmed the video, and I looked and sounded like I was in a horrible, bad, foul mood. and that came across in the video. So that was one that I wished I'd waited a few days before I filmed it, but I thought, WrestleMania just happened, I gotta get this out there now, so. It is what it is, but yeah, that one, I was not a huge fan of how that one turned out. The end of the Attitude Era, yeah, that was one that I enjoyed doing. That was a good one. Yeah, Vince is like, yeah, he's got to have that big superhero, which you can have that, but it's, you got to book him correctly. Do you think WWE should stop to do shows for a while and build some anticipation? Here's the thing. I think they have to make shows or else they lose their contract with USA and Fox. And I think AEW's in the same boat. So it's like, we can make fun of them for it, but I think they have to produce original content to keep their spots. But I would prefer it if they just took a break and waited until everything was back. Ultimate Warrior, oh my god, Ultimate Warrior on Twitter would have been amazing. What about dreams on being a football player? I played football in high school and I sucked. So I knew that wasn't in my future. I mean, I enjoyed playing, but I knew that this wasn't something that I was going to be able to turn into a career because I'm not the most gifted athlete in the world. One day I do remember my best football moment ever. It was during a practice and nobody saw it. Nobody but the team saw it. But I was on the squad defense, or squad offense and squad defense. So when the starting offense went on there, I would be the defense, basically the tackling dummy that would basically help them walk through the plays. And on one play, I was on the squad offense, and I was on the offensive line, and I was not the biggest guy in the world, so it's like, oh shit. But they didn't have another position for me. It's like, I can't go out there as a wide receiver. It's like, fuck no, that's not going to work. So, but this one play, two of the best defenders on our team were coming through on a blitz, and I stepped in front of them, and I weirdly blocked both of them in this weird play, because they kind of collided with each other, and I did this move where I stepped in front of them, and I blocked both of them, and all three of us fell over. And I didn't know I did it. I thought I just fell over because I'm a clumsy asshole. And I thought the coach was going to yell at me for being a clumsy asshole. And then he's like, Patrick, that was the best offensive line work I've seen all day. You two should be ashamed of yourselves for letting the squad offense guy block both of you. And I was like, so that was my best moment in football. And almost nobody saw it, but still. It was great. Wrestling Jesus worked everyone 24/7. I'm sure he did. Ready for baseball to come back? Oh, God, I would love to have baseball back. I would love it. Have I caught up to all the questions? No, a little bit behind. Okay. All right, Demo God. Yeah, the Demo God. Impact has some great talent. What do you think is holding them back? I think that brand has been poisoned, and I think that's the biggest problem. Like, they were the number 2 for a really long time, and then they got canceled, and they've been kicked off more channels than I can count. So it's like, I think that brand is just like, they can still put on good shows, but I think the brand itself is just poisoned, and any chance of like significant growth, I think, is going to get in their way because of their history. Have you ever watched something out of a FIFA World Cup? Once in a while. Soccer's not really my sport, but I've watched a couple of things here and there. Multimedia Assassin, oh my god, you're a long-time viewer, I remember you. Do you think one of the reasons wrestling isn't as good anymore is because it isn't versatile anymore, as in the entertainers, brawlers, high flyers, technicians, hardcore wrestlers, and powerhouses? Well, I like variety. I think that a truly successful wrestling show has big guys, has little guys, has hardcore matches, has straight up technical matches, and I would love to see more of a variety, and I think there's a little bit more of a tendency to promote more of the high-flying style of things these days. And it's like, I'd like to see a little bit more variety. Like, for all the high-flying and dives and stuff, my two favorite tag teams in AEW are Butcher and the Blade and FTR. And they're the ground and pound, FTR more the technical wrestling guys, and Blade and the Butcher are the brawlers. And they're my two favorite teams. So, you would have been like that guy after Royal Rumble 2006. Yeah, oh my god, if I was making videos after Royal Rumble 2006, I would have done something stupid. That would have embarrassed me, for sure. Who would win in a fight, Brock Lesnar or Haku? I think the world would explode. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. Both guys are legit. You were obligated to talk about that match at least once a year. I guess so. I rewatched Cena versus Triple H recently, and it's so weird how Triple H is sold as a better wrestler than Cena, but he wrestled like a brawler almost as much. Poor writing. I mean, yeah. I wouldn't mind Taker coming back to have a proper match with AJ Styles. That's probably what they're going to do. That's if I had to guess. Once they have crowds back, I think they're going to get back to having... they're going to do that Taker-AJ match legit. Brock in a controlled environment, Haku in a bar fight. That might be the best answer, yeah. Remember when we all thought Taker was done at 20-0? 20-0, and when the streak ended, and when Roman beat him and he left his gear in the ring? Yeah, I know, and that's the thing. That's why when the documentary said, I think I'm ready to walk away, I'm like, bullshit. I'll believe it when I see it. You know, that type of deal. Taker's working us. Taker's totally working us. Imagine Attitude Era women on Instagram. Oh my god. That would have been ridiculous. Ridiculous. Because, I mean, I'm sorry to say it, but the women, the Attitude Era women back then were way hotter than the ones out there now. Sorry, but generally, that's a general. I mean, I would put Scarlett Bordeaux up on the level of, like, the Attitude Era women, but, man, if the Nitro girls were on Instagram at the time, oh, man, would have been ridiculous. What are your thoughts on my two favorite directors, George Romero and Kevin Smith? George Romero, I mean, he's the godfather of zombie movies. I think any zombie movie or story or TV show that exists owes its existence to George Romero, specifically what he did in Night of the Living Dead, because he created all the tropes. And I think in regards to that, I think George Romero's a genius. And I also really like Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead. I think both of those are very good. Kevin Smith in the 90s... was like a comedic genius, and he did a lot with very little. Not the most technical director ever, but he knew how to make me laugh, and that accounts for something. When you look at Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy was fine. It's not one of my more favorite ones, but that one's pretty good. Dogma, which I appreciated as a Catholic, I really appreciated that movie. So his early work was really good, and I don't know what happened, if he just got older or if he just started smoking dope or whatever, but his latest work has been almost amateurish. And I should point out, I liked Clerks 2. I know a lot of people don't like Clerks 2. I really enjoyed Clerks 2. It was one of my favorite theater experiences ever. But since then, it's like he hasn't made anything good, and it's, you know. And now he's in charge of He-Man, and I'm like, oh no. Oh no. How's that gonna go? Okay, Alright, just making sure I'm caught up on all the questions. Okay, Vince Russo booking the faction, The Zoo, and go, look, bro, we got all these gimmicks here, bro. I'm telling you, bro, you got all these gimmicks here. You know, you got lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. Just, you got your mantas. You got your fucking battle cats. You got all these animals, bro. Let me tell you something, bro. What you do, bro, and this is key to the successful stable, bro. You put all the animals together, bro, and you put them together, and you make them a faction called the Zoo, bro. That's how you do it, bro. You get the Zoo as a faction, and I guarantee you, multi-million-dollar idea, bro. And then you get him a manager, and you give him a whip and a safari hat. You call him the Zoo Master, bro. The Zoo Master, or the Ring Master, whatever the fuck you want to call him, bro. But you need, like, a manager like Kim Chi was for Kamala, bro. And you make the Zoo, and it's $1,000,000 idea, bro. Perfection, bro. I'm a genius. Pay me. Okay. Bum-ba-dum-ba-dum. What do you think about the ending to the Brian Cage-John Moxley match? I wasn't a fan of it. It was them trying to protect somebody and ultimately didn't do that. It's like, to me, this match would have been a perfect example of when, like, a disqualification would be useful, and they just don't want to do DQs for some reason. But yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of that match ending. Top 10 worst WWE pay-per-views of all time. Now that's one that might need an update, because they've had some high-class stinkers since then. So that one might need an update. Is 2009 still the worst year of Raw to you? Might be. It might be. I mean, I've pretty much given up watching regular. I have not watched a single episode of Raw in 2020. But, yeah. Yeah, I love FTR. They're great. I love them. Since you liked Whiplash so much, have you seen La La Land? I have not seen La La Land. I'll put that on my list of ones that I need to watch. What are the coolest wrestling stages ever? I love the old Nitro set. That might be my answer. I love the old Nitro set. And of course, Wrestlemania has had some amazing sets over the years. Yeah, I mean, I really like... The WrestleMania 19 set always stuck out to me as being a really cool one. What are your favorite YouTubers on the topic of movies? That's, I guess, Angry Video Game Nerd, Cinemassacre, because I like their movie reviews. Because it's just a bunch of guys shooting the shit. I don't really go to YouTube for movie reviews, though. That's, I've never really... That's not something I've really ever done. Dream match, New Jack versus Haku versus Minoru Suzuki. Oh my god. Somebody would wind up murdered in that match. What's your favorite period of The Rock? I mean, I like Corporate Champ Rock. Is probably my favorite. That was when he was like really, really like red hot as the top heel. I liked Rock in 2000 because that was probably his best period as a babyface. 2000, 2001, and then in 2003 I liked Hollywood Rock a lot. So any one of those three is an acceptable answer. What's the worst New York Giants quarterback you've ever seen? Oh my god. In the 90s, the post-Phil Simms and Jeff Hostetler era, we had some... I don't even remember their names, but they were terrible. The worst quarterback I've ever seen... I'm going to say this because I was at the game when it happened. It was Week 17... Toilet Bowl game, Giants versus Redskins. The team formerly known as the Redskins now. Neither team was making the playoffs, so it didn't matter. And Eli Manning got hurt before the half, so they had to put in his replacement. And I was like, I don't know who's our backup quarterback. I didn't know who it was. And then they announced over the loudspeaker system, subbing for Eli Manning at quarterback will be Curtis Painter. And I heard that and my jaw fucking dropped. I'm like, Curtis Painter? Curtis Painter? And this game, we went up to, it was me, my sister, and my brother-in-law. We went up to, I don't think they were married yet. I don't think my sister and brother-in-law were married yet. But we all went up to New York and New Jersey for this game. And it was... the game was hilariously bad, although I did get to see Justin Tuck's last sack as a Giant, so that was pretty cool. But, yeah, Curtis Painter was awful in the second half of that game. He was awful. We still won, but it was still like, oh my god, he was terrible. Okay. What are you the godfather of? Sex. I am the king of sex. Nobody can beat me in that world. Who's your favorite baseball team? The Baltimore Orioles, and it's not because I live in Maryland and I'm close to Baltimore. It's because Cal Ripken Jr. was, like, my hero. Let me actually see. I don't know if you... We're going to mess around with the camera a little bit. You can see that flag there. I've got the Giants picture up, but also I've got Cal Ripken Jr.'s flag. That was a pendant I got after he broke the record for most consecutive games played. So, that's something... Cal Ripken was like my childhood hero when I was a kid. So, because he played for the Orioles, I still root for the Orioles, even though they're awful. Okay. Terry! I don't think I've seen your name in a while. I remember you. First video you saw was top 10 worst WrestleMania matches. That would probably need to be changed now, too. Would you change anything now a few years have passed? Yeah, I think I made that video before Taker Roman had happened. I think I made that video before Triple H and Roman had happened. Yeah, there's a few that would probably be up there now. Edge and Orton, this year's Mania, and normally I would like disqualify anything from the COVID shows because it's not worth judging them. But Edge and Orton for Mania, I was like, that match went way too fucking long. Way too fucking long. But what crossover franchises do you want to see? I'm trying to think of one I haven't seen before. I mean, as a kid, my big one was He-Man and Thundercats, but we did get that in comic book form, and I love the comic. But, yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I can't really think of one that I'd like to see, to be perfectly honest. I always love your Vince Russo and John Cena impression. Where's Alexa? Oh, Alexa. Alexa's in the kitchen, so she's not going to be set off by anything that we do here. Yeah, buying a condo pretty much disqualified Alexa from being able to interfere in my video. So I won the war against Alexa. But yeah, my John Cena impression. I haven't done the Cena impression in a long time. But when he was going in there against Rob Van Dam at ECW One Night Stand, people were saying that he was going to get booed out of the building. He was going to run out of town by the ECW fans. Let me tell you something, Paul Heyman. You looking at an ECW fan. Because I'm John Cena, and whatever the fans like, I like whatever they like. You like balloons? I like balloons too. I'm here to suck up to the fans. That is what I do, because I'm John Cena, bro. You can't see me. I haven't done that in a while. It feels weird breaking that out now. How would you book the Undertaker retirement? He puts over AJ in his last match, and he gets to say goodbye to the crowd, and he does like the Undertaker pose one last time. They play the music, and he goes up the stage, and that's it. I would have also considered, like, they wanted to go crazy with it, do a thing where they actually kill the Undertaker character, like bury him, and like put him in a casket, lock the casket, load it up in an airplane, then drop the casket out of an airplane. Like something crazy that would actually kill the Undertaker character. Something supernatural to like officially kill Undertaker for good would have been interesting. I don't know if they could do that now. If he had retired in '99, they could have done something like that. But now it's like no. They'd have to give him something more traditional. How would you book the Undertaker's retirement? Answer 5 years ago. Yeah, well, that too. Absolutely that too. Do you think Colt Cabana will join the Dark Order? I thought he already did. I thought that was like the idea of him tagging with them. I thought he'd already joined them. Well, I'll be sure to come back when the Lakers beat the Kings in May. Yeah, if you want something gold, go watch the Rock concert from 2003. They did 2 of them, but the first one leading into Mania 19 was hilarious. So that was Rock at his best, I think. He was so good. Bohemian Rhapsody or Can't Get No Satisfaction? Bohemian Rhapsody. That song's a masterpiece. Hollywood Rock was great, I agree. Do you think AEW gets a pass on everything because they are not WWE? I think there are people that give them a pass on things because they're not WWE. But then again, on the flip side, there are people that bash everything they do because they're WWE fans and they hate everything that's not WWE. So here's the thing about fans of things, and I've learned this after being a dorky fan my entire life of various different properties. Fans are awful. And that's just how it is. They can be the shittiest hypocrites imaginable. They just are. I've seen it too many times. It's one of the reasons I don't like going to cons, because fans can just be horrible. But yeah, I agree. There are a lot of people out there that give AEW a pass on everything because they're not WWE. And I try to be as fair as possible. It's like, look, when I watched this week's episode and I saw Vicky Guerrero was back, I'm like, oh no, oh no. And I didn't like the finish to the main event. So it's like, you gotta, I've always tried to be as fair as possible with these things. What should the Redskins' new name be? The Washington Football Players. No one will be offended by that. Because I hear the name being thrown around as the Red Tails after the Tuskegee Airmen. And I'm like, dude, that's going to get called racist in 20 years. I can see it happening already. Like, people are going to call that racist give it a couple of decades, they'll be calling that racist. So just call them the Washington Football Players. No one will ever be offended by that. Bobby the Brain on Twitter. Oh, God, that would have been a maestro conductor just making art. That's what that would have been. Did you hate every John Cena Triple H match, or is the hate pointed at the Mania 22 match? I never saw their Night of Champions match. Every rematch I saw them have were kind of like, it was like a greatest hits version of the WrestleMania 22 match, so I tended to not like them. I remember a match they had on Raw. It was the one where Ted DiBiase was the guest host. They had a match on that episode of Raw, and I hated it because it was like it was an abridged version of their WrestleMania 22 match, and I just couldn't stand it. So maybe the Night of Champions match was good, but I never saw it. Spinnernet was a good movie reviewer. I don't remember his movie reviews. I remember wrestling was like a big deal, but I don't remember him reviewing movies. How many games was it? I don't understand your question, Jedi Alex. How many games was it? I don't know. Were you a Ninja Turtles fan growing up? Was I a Ninja Turtles fan growing up? I was the biggest Ninja Turtles fan growing up. I loved the Ninja Turtles. They were great. Donnie was my favorite turtle. I actually did a video, I remember this, on my 30th birthday. I did a video talking about how I woke up the morning of my 30th birthday, and there was a headline going around that Donatello was killed off in the most recent Ninja Turtles comics. I'm like, happy 30th birthday, your childhood hero's dead. I'm like, Jesus Christ, welcome to old age, fuckface. What are some of the worst teams you know in NFL history? Well, I think the expansion team Bucks take the cake. Went almost winless for 2 seasons, their first 2 seasons in existence. The 0-16 Browns, I think the 0-16 Browns are worse than the 0-16 Lions. The 0-16 Lions were actually not that bad. I think, because if you look at some of the games they played, some of them were close, and they just lost it at the last second, so a lot of it was bad luck. But the 0-16 Browns were a dumpster fire, for sure. Roman Reigns' trilogy of atrocity Mania main events. Triple H, Taker, and Lesnar. Yeah, that was... Whew, boy. And the Lesnar one was the least bad of the 3, which tells you something. How much New York Giants merchandise do you have? Too much. Too much is the answer to that question. Have you ever read the Mega Man Sonic the Hedgehog crossover comic? I have not. No. I prefer your Total Bell as John Cena impression. Oh my god, I haven't done that. I'm trying to remember it. The rules now, let me tell you something. There are rules in this house. You're going to stay in this house. There are rules. You are not allowed to go outside. You are not allowed to touch anything. You cannot go in specific rooms of the house. These rooms are labeled with a red X as being you cannot go inside those houses. You will make your bed every morning, and you will clean up after yourself. You cannot use the kitchen. Do not get up for a midnight snack. You cannot go into the fridge. I have it padlocked. And there's also a combination code to access the fridge. You cannot open the fridge past midnight. Will not happen. I will not allow it. You will not allow it. Every night after dinner, the men will retire to the study, and the women will go do whatever the fuck it is that women do. That is how we will do things. And outside in my backyard is the Forbidden Forest, and you will not go back into the Forbidden Forest unless you wish to suffer a most painful death. It will not happen in this house. Do not bring a dog into my house. I will kill the dog on sight. And those are the rules of living in John Cena's home. I cannot believe that WWE allowed to let him be seen like that, but it's, oh my god. I hate John Cena. Yeah, I was like, you don't like me? You don't like John Cena? Well, guess what? I hate me too. Because I go with whatever the fans say. Oh my god. What are your thoughts on David Fincher? Great director. He's a weird dude, but he's a great director. What's your favorite WCW show of all time? Oh boy, we're talking pay-per-views, right? Because I'm thinking, I'd have to go back and watch some of them to be perfectly honest, but one that sticks out to me that I really like was Spring Stampede 94. That one, I remember being a great show. 10 matches you loved as a kid but think they suck now. Undertaker versus Undertaker, loved it as a kid, hate it now. The King of the Road match at Uncensored 95, which I rewatched for a live stream, that was a mistake. Because it's like, oh, I thought this was the coolest match when I was a kid. It sucks so much. Hogan versus Sid at Mania 8, because the match sucks, but Warrior's Return kind of clouded that, and I just kind of marked out for Warrior's Return. But and even to this day, I'll say like Warrior's Return saves the match, but it's still not a good match. All right, so that's 3. I don't know if I can get to 10, to be perfectly honest. I'm not sure if I can get to 10, but those are 3 that really stand out to me. Thoughts on Channel Awesome? I will need an hour to talk about my thoughts of Channel Awesome. When I first watched them in the late 2000s, it was kind of like, it was kind of cool to experience because I got the impression it was a bunch of people like my age and close to my age that were kind of taking their lives into their own hands and being entrepreneurs and doing that type of stuff and creating online content. And there were some guys that I liked, some video producers there that I liked. But everything that's happened with all the drama and all the controversies and everything, and how I've seen how some of the old producers on that site have turned out now, it's like, oh my God, this is embarrassing. And I think it's a case of where, you know, maybe they got some like little bit of fame and a little bit of like positive attention, and maybe they got inflated egos over it. I'm not going to talk about the Change the Channel document or anything like that, but speaking of the specific people, who I've never met, by the way, but seeing how some of them have acted online, I'm like, these people are mental children. It's kind of, oh my God, it's... when you look at how Spoonie has turned out, it's holy shit. Russo idea, bro. Bro, I got a crossover for you, bro. Goku versus Superman, bro. Both turn heel, bro, and Lex Luthor turns out to be Lois Lane's brother, bro. Golden idea. They should publish it. DC, hire me. Marvel, hire me. Neither character's with Marvel. Don't give a fuck. They'll hire me anyway. I went deaf for a minute when Vicky Guerrero came back. I did too. The Washington Presidents. No, people will shoot that down because so many people hate Trump. They'll shoot that one down. I'm not kidding. Like that people would have a problem with that one. The worst fans from both sides are those that want everyone in AEW and the other side who instead compare viewership and or Dynamite to Raw and SmackDown. It's, you know, fans get obsessive over the tiniest things. Soccer players would be offended by the name football players because it's not real football. Fair point. That's actually a fair point, but they're soccer fans. I don't really care. Okay, the Washington Sports Ballers. How's that sound? The Washington Sports Ballers. What about Sting versus The Undertaker cinematic match? I don't know. Maybe they could do that. That might be neat. Because that would probably be the only way the match would work. More underrated wrestler, William Regal or Dean Malenko? I think Regal has gotten a certain level of respect. I think Malenko gets overlooked now. But Malenko was legit. Like, if you watched him wrestle, like, he made his stuff look believable, and I really enjoyed his work. I think Regal has gotten respect as more of an entertainer, because Regal could be a really entertaining guy, and I think Regal had some really, really funny moments. I think Dean is like a straight wrestler, though. I think Dean doesn't get enough respect for how good he really was. How many games did Cal play to break the record? I have it right up there in the pendant. 2,131. That is a lot of games. What is your dream car? I don't really have a dream car. The one that gets me to work. That's my dream car. No, I take that back. The Count's car from the Sesame Street movie, Follow That Bird. Let me see if I can pull up a picture of it. We're going to do a quick Google search. There's got to be a picture of it. That car is absolutely bitchin'. There it is! Alright, we're gonna pull this shit up. Come on, come up. Where is it? Right. There it is! There it is! Yeah, the Count's car. Look how bitchin' that thing is. Look at it! It's beautiful! It's absolutely beautiful. I love that thing. Look, it's got bat wings. And that thing makes the Batmobile look like a piece of shit. That's how great that thing is. So yeah, that's my dream car. Oh my god. Alrighty. Let's get back to questions. Okay, where did I leave off? Okay, John Cena is probably the type to wear a mask indoors 24/7. Probably. How would you book Godzilla in wrestling? I would have Godzilla show up and then stomp the entire stadium. No, you know what I would do? I would create like the monster division and create a ring around a city, kind of like the video game King of the Monsters, to those of you that remember that. Only instead of ring ropes, they have like force field barriers to keep them inside the ring. And that would be it. Just the super massive god heavyweight monster division. And just do it that way. Do you think Cena will kick out of Vin Diesel's finisher in Fast 9? Oh, I think it's a given. Absolutely. Most controversial NFL calls, my number one would be the tuck roll game. The tuck roll's up there. Controversial. See, I think the refs got the right call in the Music City Miracle. I think the refs got the right call there. The Immaculate Reception is another one where I'm kind of like, I don't know what the right call is because we're missing that one camera angle to make a legitimate call, so I think the refs did the best job they could. There was that one Monday night game with the Packers, I think it was the Seahawks, where the replacement refs didn't call the foul on the Hail Mary at the end, so the Seahawks won the game. That one was pretty bad. I mean, those are up there, I would say, as the most controversial calls. Tuck roll's pretty high up there for me. Because I've looked at that footage of the tuck roll, and I'm like, Brady had both hands on the ball when it looked like he had both hands on the ball when he got knocked out. So to me, it's like, you can talk about the tuck all you want, but to me, it's like, when you have both hands on the ball, that's a fumble. That's how I feel about it, but have not watched football regularly since. I remember watching that game with my dad, and I was like, thank God I am not an Oakland Raiders fan, or I would have broken every piece of furniture in this house right now, because that is bogus. Oh, the dog biting Cena. Well, I've made the joke before when the dog bit him. I was like, in the movies, Terminator, dogs can detect fake people like Terminators. I'm just saying. So they know when a Terminator's around because they know a real person from a fake one. I'm just throwing that out there. Just just saying. Because the Maple Leafs actually absolutely suck is Rock's best line of all time. It was a good one. The Miz nailed it with the total bullshit say. Yeah, that was great. That was great. I love that. Didn't you say Undertaker versus Bret Hart from Royal Rumble sucked too? It did. That was a disappointing match because I really wanted that match as a kid. But at that age, I was starting to recognize when a match was good and when it wasn't good. And that was one where I was like, this is boring. This match is boring. As opposed to before where I would just sit there and watch whatever was in front of me. Have you ever heard of the movie trivia Schmodown? It's basically a wrestling promotion, but the matches are movie trivia competitions. I've never heard of that. That sounds amazing, though. I'm a Buccaneers fan. Do you think the addition of Brady and Gronk will improve anything? I'm skeptical. I doubt it, but we'll see. I think Brady's age was showing last season. I think Gronk coming back, I don't know how much of a difference he's going to make. And Tampa Bay, they had coaching issues and front office issues as well. So I doubt it'll make a massive difference. But who knows? Who knows? Have you tried any of Jericho's Little Bit of the Bubbly? I have. I got 2 bottles for Christmas. I got one for the family that we could have at Christmas dinner, and I gave one to a friend of mine for his birthday. And everyone loved it. My sister even made mimosas with it, and it was, oh my God, it was actually really, really good. The Washington sports athletes. Yes. I'd pay Regal and Malenko anything to train me to wrestle. I mean, you couldn't find 2 better trainers than that, I would imagine. Thoughts on the Angle versus Benoit series? They had some very good matches. The Royal Rumble 03 match was very good. A couple of their matches in 01 were very good. I wasn't a huge fan of the Ultimate Submission match that they had. That one didn't quite work for me. It was basically an Iron Man match, but you could only win by submission. That match didn't click with me, but generally I really enjoyed their matches. Watching your streams always make my day. Yeah, I should do more of them. Hopefully YouTube won't shut this one down for false advertising. That was literally the reason I was given for when my stream got shut down where I was doing the WWF home videos. They told me it was false advertising. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure the people watching the stream knew exactly what I was doing and felt I had delivered on what I'd promised, but whatever. Have you ever played any of the Grand Theft Auto games? Years ago, when I was in high school and college, years ago. But it was a series that never really appealed to me. I like the open world randomness aspect where you could do whatever you wanted, but it was the type of thing where I was like, played it a couple of times, but it didn't really stick with me. Which classic trilogy is better, Mario or Sonic? I'd take Mario every day, forever and a day, no question. And I like Sonic, but Mario's that's another level. Random as hell question, but have you been rewatching? I've been rewatching this recently. What was it like living through the OJ murder trial? Oh my god, that was insane. It was insane, and it was one of the craziest news stories of the 20th century. It was crazy to see a respected Hall of Fame athlete get tangled up in all of this. You ask my personal opinion? I think he did it. That's my personal opinion. But it was a crazy, crazy time. It was almost like something out of a movie because even the side characters involved were almost like Cochran. Like these guys, like, is this a real person? Apparently it is. But yeah, it was crazy times. It was absolutely crazy. What went wrong? NFL refs. I don't know, but they've been blowing a lot of calls the last few seasons. The Washington Neutrals. That would be a good one. The Washington Neutrals. Why is your thumbnail picture so old? I was trying to be old-timey and cool. What's the scariest PSA or advert you've ever seen? I never thought PSAs were scary. Whenever they tried to go super dark with PSAs, I always thought they were kind of funny. Even as a kid, like when they tried to go super, super dark with it, I always felt like they were funny. The Music City Miracle. I'm sorry. I think the refs got the right call there. That ball was not going forward. I've watched slow-mo replays of it, and I know God hates the Buffalo Bills. I know. I'm fully aware of this, and it sucks. But I think the refs got the right call there. John Cena's character reminds me of a kid trying to be cool in high school. That is so accurate. Favorite non-Super Bowl Giants win? When we beat Dallas in the playoffs, our Super Bowl year, the one where Super Bowl 42, when they beat the undefeated Patriots. Right before that, we beat I say we like I'm on the team, but the Giants beat the Dallas Cowboys in the playoffs, and that was the sweetest victory. I honestly was like, look, Green Bay could beat us 40-0 next week. I don't care. We beat Dallas in the playoffs. That was the greatest thing I've ever seen. Loved it. Absolutely. And to me, I was like, I pretty much resigned myself to the fact that I felt like the Patriots were going to win the Super Bowl that year. So, to me, them beating the Cowboys, that was my Super Bowl. And anything that literally my attitude was, anything that happens after that is just gravy. And of course, they went on to win the Super Bowl. And it was like, oh my God, this is the greatest season of all time. Talking about O.J. Simpson, how big a star was he? He was a pretty big star. He was before my time, but he was considered to be one of the greatest running backs of all time. And as far as a star goes, he was one of those guys that would pop up in movies. Like he was in the first Naked Gun movie. Which that hasn't aged well, but you know. Hey, movie fan, how you doing? Welcome. Another longtime viewer. Happy 10th anniversary. I've been watching you since your top 5 worst WrestleMania events. Oh my goodness. I did that one a long time ago. I think I was still in the... I hadn't moved to my apartment yet. My new... my Germantown apartment, I should say. Haven't moved... I don't think I'd moved there yet. I think that was Royal Rumble... It was the one that Roman Reigns won. I think I had just moved in, like a little bit before that. And then I've moved around a lot in 10 years now that I think about it. Imagine Twitter during the OJ trial period. I don't want to. That's terrifying. That's a terrifying thought. What was your wrestling equivalent of the helmet catch? I can't, as an IE, I can't believe that really happened. Oh, God. Elix Skipper's cage walk. That is one of the most amazing spots I've ever seen, even to this day. Elix Skipper's cage walk, it was one of those moments where my jaw dropped when I saw it. What is likelier to occur? Breaking Bad Season 6 or The Simpsons finale? I want to say The Simpsons finale, because it's like, how much longer can they possibly go? But who knows? Yeah, Robert Parrish. I know that name. Robert Parrish. Absolutely. So, did I do a Super Bowl 42 video? I don't remember doing a Super Bowl 42 video. Did I do one? I don't remember each and every video I did. Yeah, Buffalo was pretty good last year. I felt like they got screwed. Now, I'll tell you one where they got screwed was the game against New England where they did a dirty hit on the quarterback and knocked him out of the game. And I thought, oh, well, at least the penalty would put the Bills in position to score and maybe take the lead. But then they said it was offsetting penalties. And I'm like, wait, what the fuck? So you mean to tell me they basically got away with getting a dirty hit and injuring the quarterback? And I'm like, that was bullshit. Such bullshit. It's like, it's amazing the stuff that the Patriots get away with sometimes. Favorite Hell in a Cell matches? Well, my favorite is Shawn and Taker, the first one. Some other ones I really like. Cactus and Triple H is up there. I guess Undertaker Triple H at WrestleMania would be up there, even though they didn't use the cell much. Taker and Edge is one that's up there for me. So yeah, I'd say those are my favorites. Yeah, Tio, get your popcorn ready. That was great. Oh, God, we made him cry afterwards, too. It was amazing. Were you ever into theater? No, because I hated theater kids. No, literally, in high school, I couldn't stand the theater kids. I'm like, I don't want to hang around with these fuckers. Literally, that was my attitude at the time. The ones that were really, really deep into theater, I couldn't stand. You know, it's funny, I grew up with media where, like, the dorks are the nice people and the good guys in their stories, and the athletes are the jocks and the bullies. I'm like, dude, the athletes were great to me. It was the nerds I couldn't stand. O.J. Simpson was in Family Guy, too. Did they do an episode about him with him in it? I don't know. I haven't watched Family Guy in a long time. How many people in this chat do you recognize? Quite a few. I see a lot of familiar names here. You played the chat with O.J. Simpson. Oh, Hogan, you silly goose. You should have brought the old light switch from your old apartment. Yeah, my old co-star, the light switch. The dimmer. It was like a dimmer, if I recall. But now I've got the Lego Death Star. I've got the Sting autograph. I've got the Transformers poster. Got that lamp. So I've got plenty of new co-stars now. I broke down the entire 2007 season. Oh my God, I don't remember doing it. Honest to God, I have no memory doing that. I'll have to go back and look for it. I did it this year? Are you sure? Are you fucking with me? Did I really do it this year? I honest to God, I have no memory of doing this video that you're talking about. Did you ever see True Blood? No, never watched it. Oh, God. Oh, next year you're going to see so many COVID and social distancing jokes and stories and TV shows. It's going to get obnoxious. Just be forewarned. It's very impressive. Playing any sport for 20 years, I mean, that's incredible. Especially one that takes a toll on your body the way basketball does. Because you've got to be in peak condition to play basketball all the time. Like, you can't let that slip. Oh, the fumble in the Philly Patriots Super Bowl? Yeah, the Super Bowl where I was rooting for Philly. Never thought that would ever happen. What would you consider the wrestling equivalent of the Tyree helmet catch? I just answered that. The Elix Skipper cage walk. That's my answer. My favorite Super Bowl of all time. I'll have to go back and look at it. I don't remember doing this. Favorite period of ROH? Probably when the Elite was around. Because that was when ROH started to feel like big time. And then, of course, you get the mid-2000s where like you got that whole crop of stars that came up, like Punk and Joe and Daniel Bryan and all of those guys. So that was a fun period. That's a fun one to look back on because of all the guys that came out of it. Alexa will always be my favorite co-star of yours. Oh, shut up. COVID wiped out your memory. Yeah, I guess it did. Yeah. What went wrong, Rick and Morty? I couldn't tell you what went wrong with Rick and Morty. This season just didn't do it for me. What's your biggest guilty pleasure movie? The Masters of the Universe movie from 1987. I rewatch that movie at least once every 3 years or so, and I get so much enjoyment out of it. Frank Langella is Skeletor, man. He's great. Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate it. Who did you cheer for in WCW, Rodman or Malone? Malone. Because I was a huge DDP mark at that point, and I sided with the guy that teamed with DDP. Dave Winfield, one of my favorite baseball players that played for over 20 seasons. Yep. Last WWE moment you actually marked out for. Oh, God. Well, NXT counts, right? I guess Keith Lee winning both belts. That's that's my answer. Because NXT counts. Thoughts on Kenta Kobashi? Was he the one that had that match with Joe where they knocked the crap out of each other? That might be the only Kobashi. Because Kenta... That's Kenta Kobayashi, not Kenta Kobashi, right? I always get those two confused. But Kobashi's the one that had that match with Joe, and Kobayashi is the one that was in NXT for a brief spell. Alexa Bliss would be perfect for the Stacy Keibler era of WWE Divas. Well, somebody also says that, if she was in the Nitro Girls, she would have fit. I don't know. Alexa's weird to me, Alexa Bliss, because everybody goes on about how hot she is. And I look at her, and maybe it's the age difference, but I look at her and I see high schooler, and she looks like jailbait to me. Like, she looks like a dolled-up child. And I was like, everybody goes on about how hot she is, and I get, like, creepy pedo vibes from it. Even though she's of age. She's clearly of age, but she looks younger than she is. And I just kind of like, I'm not attracted to that. I'm just not. Like, I think I've got to be like a decade older than her. I would think. Because I'm 35, so I'm thinking I'm at least 10 years older than her. And the idea of pursuing someone even that young, I would be like, not for me. Mickie James, however, Natty Neidhart, however, I would do that in a heartbeat. Dale Torborg, who played the Kiss Demon, is married to Asia. I did not know that. That's interesting. Kobashi innovated the burning hammer. Okay. What was your favorite moment for Paparazzi Productions? Oh, man, that underrated bit. I loved the early bits with Nash and Shelley. I thought those early bits they did were great. Even Torborg will admit he was an awful wrestler. Well, at least he's honest about it. I'll give him that. Who's your favorite female wrestler? Right now, I would say Tessa, to be perfectly honest, even though she has her own problems. She's probably my favorite one to watch. Alexa is 28. No, she's not 28. No, you're lying. There's no way she's 28. Bliss was born... I'm only 6 years older than... No. No way. No, I would have pegged her for, like, early mid-20s. Dude, if that's true, then she's, like... She looks younger now than I did at that age. I still see Alexa Bliss as who from the live-action Grinch movie? What? Well, when she was a kid, she probably could have been Cindy Lou who was no more than 2. Why are you taking our Christmas tree, Santa? Did you just refer to a woman as that? Refer to a woman as what? As jailbait? Toni Storm, I haven't seen her since, like, I tried to watch NXT UK and I couldn't get into it, but that was God knows how long ago. But yeah, Toni Storm's pretty cute. Yeah, Alexa Bliss is 28. I never would have guessed that. No, I mean, good on her. She looks younger than I did at that age. But I'm an old man now, so who knows? Since NXT went to USA, do you still get any enjoyment out of the product? I get enjoyment out of it, but there's that part of it that feels dirty because it was used. It was used to hurt AEW, and I liked NXT being separated from a lot of that shit and just being on the network, and it was like 70s, 80s wrestling, you know, in this simple little niche thing. I preferred it that way because now there's almost this need to almost be pay-per-view quality almost every week, and it's like that to me that took away from the charm of what NXT originally was. As a theater kid, I'm sorry for us being arseholes, but we are. I mean, I don't know if you're one, but when I was going to high school, they definitely were. Just up their own ass. Just totally up their own ass. Did you hear about the Motor City Machine Guns returning last night? I did not. I hadn't heard that. I was going to read the reviews to Slammiversary, but I hadn't gotten around to it yet. Which was worse, the worst of Nitro or the worst of Impact? The worst of Nitro was more depressing because it was like the end of the golden age. Worst of Impact, it was disappointing, but it was still like, alright, they didn't live up to their potential, but Nitro lived up to its potential and then pissed it away, and that's more frustrating to me. Alexa is older than me, so I guess no guilt for me. Oh my goodness. Alexa Bliss, born August 9th, 1991. She's almost 29. I don't believe that. No, she's lying. She's lying. She's 24. In my mind, she's 24 and looks like a high schooler. That's the idea. That's the image I have in my head. Gail Kim. Oh yeah, Gail Kim looks gorgeous. Last time I saw her, it's like she could still get it. Jim Cornette or WWE? Who booked the worst invasion angle? What did Jim Cornette book? I don't know. Did Jim Cornette ever book an invasion angle? Have you reached the old where you feel like an old man yet? I felt like an old man since I was 25, so yes. Best Shield matches. Oh, I mean, they got to a point on Raw where they were like having a killer match every week. Their matches with the Wyatt family really stand out to me. There was also that one, I think it was Bryan, Undertaker, and Kane versus the Shield. That one felt like a really big deal when they did it. Do you think pro wrestling now is in a better place or worse place than when you started making videos 10 years ago? I'd say about the same, where it's just like WWE's clearly in front. Maybe the audience has shrunk since then, but we're in desperate need of something to really shake up the business. And that was true 10 years ago, so... AEW and NXT are forced to do pay-per-view takeover matches all the time, and it hurts both products. I agree. I absolutely agree. Do you think the Angle Benoit Steel Cage match is better than the WrestleMania 7 match? Yeah, the Steel Cage match is like, and I heard Angle say this, it's one of the dumbest matches he ever did because they almost killed each other with some of the spots they did. He said, yeah, this is one of the dumbest matches I've ever done, but the Steel Cage match is more memorable to me. I'm 27 and I physically feel like an old man. He booked the NWA Invasion in 97. He booked that? Cornette booked that? I mean, that was pretty bad. I would say the WCW Invasion was worse, though, because it was, that had more potential to it. It's just a coincidence they put Great American Bash up against Fyter Fest. Okay, yeah, sure it was. If Parks and Recreation is anything to go by, if you split your age in half and add 7 years, you can still date someone. Oh, the Tom rule? Yeah, I've heard that. You can still, like, half your age plus 7. So what? Like, Alexa would be 29. Well, okay, my age is 35. Half that is 17.5. And then plus 7, so yeah, but still, she still looks like 18 to me, and I'm like, no. Dude, Alexa is just a month older than I am, and whenever I shave my beard, I still look 18 years old. Fair enough. But no, even so, like, Alexa's not one I was ever, like, interested in. Because she looks like a tiny little child to me. I feel like if I went on a date with Alexa and I went over to her house, I would expect Chris Hansen to be there waiting for me. That's the type of vibe I get from her. Like, she looks much younger than she really is, I guess. And actually, another person, I remember Beth from The Walking Dead. Everybody thought she was like 14, 15. And she's like 30, apparently. And it's like, oh my god, she looks like a child. Does the Shield triple threat count as a Shield match? I was there in person for that match. You know what? I will count that. I will count that. That was a great match to be a part of live. Remember Mick Foley versus Terry Funk was Cornette's main event for the Invasion? I do remember. Oh, yeah, he did the guest booker thing. Yeah, that was awful. And I love Funk and Foley, but when you're doing WWE versus WCW, you can't do Funk and Foley as the main event. That's crazy. Like, what are you... Dude, Goldberg Austin, that's the match you go for. What are you smoking? Was it dumber than the glass spots with Shane O'Mac? Oh, God, yeah, those spots were... The thing about that gets me is that he kept trying to suplex him through it, and it was like, guys, stop it. What are you doing? You're going to kill him. Yeah, no, it's I think that this Wednesday Night War thing, it's AEW and NXT, their attention is being focused on something that it shouldn't be focused on. And it's unfortunate. Neither show's as good as they could be because of it. Do you think the Eddie JBL Steel Cage match is better than the Eddie Angle match from Mania 20? I would say so, because I generally like the JBL Eddie matches more than the Eddie Angle matches. I thought the Mania 20 match was good, but it wasn't like a classic. And the Eddie JBL matches were just a little bit more intense and a little bit more personal and way more interesting as a result. You got that Styles clash, too, that made it more interesting. You grow the exact kind of beard that I do. Oh, thank you. And like I said, it might not last too much longer because the girl I'm seeing has made it perfectly clear that she doesn't like beards, so... Remember when you compared Fandango to Chris Hansen? Yes, I do. Yeah, when Fandango was like a creepy sex pervert? Yeah, I do. Yeah, AJ Lee... Oh, dude, AJ Lee looks like she's 12. She looks like a 12-year-old. Or at least I don't know what she looks like now, but... Heel Alexa is heel Lita levels of hot. Heel Lita was insanely hot. Like, that was... Oh, yeah. Blood and Guts seems meaningless now after the Stadium Stampede happened. The feud is over. Yeah, I still want them to do the Blood and Guts match, but they'd have to, like, concoct a new story for it. That's the thing. They'd have to get, like, new heels, new faces, but I still want them to do the War Games match, because that would be cool. Why did you hate Piper and Austin at Mania 21? I just remember the segment being really boring. I just don't remember them saying anything that interesting. Which is not what you would expect out of a Piper-Austin segment. I've seen pictures of steel cage matches from the 70s and the 80s, and they were the Hell in a Cell of the 70s. Yeah, pretty much. Because that was like the big feud ender, and then steel cages got completely devalued. And now Hell in a Cell's been completely devalued, so what can you do? Most overrated non-Mania matches. Oh, I don't know. Nothing jumps out at me, to be honest. AJ is 33 right now. Tell that to CM Punk. I have a friend who was going to the Blood and Guts show in Jersey. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, that was... A&W was doing really well at that point, too. They had a lot of momentum coming out of their pay-per-view, and their TV had gotten really, really good, and then COVID happened, and... Yeah. The Piper-Austin segment was basically, imagine if these guys were in their prime. Yeah, basically. That's kind of what it was, but, Okay, guys, I think I'm going to take a break for a hot minute. I've been going for about an hour and a half. I'm going to take a quick break. When I come back, I'm going to preview Extreme Rules, go over the results for Slammiversary, then we'll close out with more question and answers. But until then, I'll see you all in a few minutes. Alright, I'm back! How's everybody doing? Let's get that over there. Okay! Alright. Y'all miss me? I made myself a black and tan, although it kind of mixed. It's not supposed to do that, but yeah, I used Guinness, and I used, obviously you got to use Guinness for a black and tan, but I also mixed it with Doggy Style's Pale Ale. Pretty good combo. I like it. I like it. Hey, Fernando, welcome. Didn't think you'd make it because of your work, so it's nice to have you here. Got some cornflakes, that's good. That beard will become the Tower of Babylon. I mean, I was kind of hoping I could get it to grow down where it looked like a wizard beard. But again, I'm getting encouraged not to do that. Alright, so before we continue with the question and answers, let me go over the results for last night's Slammiversary, which I did not watch. And I did not follow the results, so I don't know exactly what happened. So let's go into it right now. Okay. Opening match, the Motor City Machine Guns came back and defeated the Rascals. That's good. You know, I like Sabin and Shelley. How'd they look? For anybody who saw the show, how'd they look? Yeah, Alex started right before I did. Like right before me. I wasn't even aware of his channel yet. That's how new he was at that point. Because I was still kind of figuring out whether or not I was going to be doing one myself. Have you heard that Sarah Logan got pregnant and how pissed are you at Ray Rowe? Not pissed. All respect. You get a hot lady like that, you take full advantage of it. It's like, I congratulate him and the happy couple, but yeah, no, Sarah Logan was she was kind of my, again, everybody was obsessing over Alexa Bliss, but I'm like, but Sarah Logan though, what are you doing? Perfect beard for winter. Yeah, it's not so great during the summer though. Patrick's Playhouse. Yeah, sure, why not? And, Motor City Machine Guns were the first TNA act I really got behind. Shouldn't be drinking. I always drink on the weekends. That's how I roll. But moving right along. Second match was Moose defeating Tommy Dreamer for the TNA World Championship in the Old School Rules match, which again, I'm assuming is a hardcore match. Gauntlet for the gold for a shot at the Knockouts Championship was won by Kylie Ray, who is the dime store Bailey, but Bailey's not even Bailey anymore, so maybe she can get away with it. Then we got Chris Bay defeating Willie Mack for the X Division title. You know what? I don't even know who Chris Bay is. I'm being perfectly honest here. I couldn't tell you who he is. If you showed me a picture of him, I wouldn't be able to identify him. The North defeated Ken Shamrock and Sami Callihan to successfully defend the Impact Tag Team Championship. Deonna Purrazzo defeated Jordynne Grace to become the Knockouts Champion. And Eddie Edwards won the Impact World Championship in a fatal 5-way against Ace Austin, Trey, Rich Swann, and a returning Eric Young. Interesting setup there. And did anything else happen as far as big returns or anything like that? Because I was hearing EC3's name being thrown around. I got weird for thinking Shayna Baszler's. Bailey turning heel felt like someone took my dreams and crushed them. None of those names scream star. It's, I'll tell you what, if Sami Callihan came to AEW and feuded with and or teamed with Mox, I think it would be great. Legitimately, it would be amazing. Mandy Rose from the New Women, Lita from the Attitude Era, Mickie James, and Miss Elizabeth from the others. Oh, man. Miss Elizabeth, I gotta tell you, rewatching these Nitros, and Liz was getting older at this point, still looked great. I was like, Liz looks amazing. EC3 is back, okay. Surprised Machine Gun and Gallows didn't show up. Gallows and Anderson, did they show up or didn't they? Let me check. You know, I'll say this: I saw Slammiversary was trending last night on Twitter. That shocked me, to be perfectly honest. Heath made his debut, so Heath is there. Who do you want Moxley to drop the belt to? If I had to choose, I would have been okay with Cage winning it, to be honest, because I like him. But who else would be a good choice for that? If they turn Omega heel, like they teased on Dynamite this week, and they go all the way with it, that would be really good. I would also like to see Hangman Page get a singles push, and wouldn't mind him being world champion at this point. Miss Elizabeth as a heel never felt right to me. Like whenever they turned her heel, I was like, what are they doing? She looked like a biker too. Yeah, but the outfits look great. She rocked it. She totally rocked it. MJF would also be a great choice. I would love to see MJF win the belt at this point. Gallows and Anderson are with Edward. Okay. Interesting. I'll have to check it out at some point. But, so that was Slammiversary. Women that... I gotta tell you, watching these old Nitros, whenever the Nitro girls do bits in, like, little leather outfits, I'm like, they are rocking it, man. They are... And it's like... And I looked at all the Nitro girls, and I'm like, you know what? I think every single one of them is hot. Like, it's... Oh, God. So good. Okay, now I'm going to go through the card for the horror show at Extreme Rules, which is what they're calling it. So it's like they're doing Halloween Havoc in July. That's the vibe I get from that title. So, alright, for the Smackdown Tag Team Championship, we have the New Day versus Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura in a tables match. For the United States title, we've got Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews is back, and he's the U.S. champion. Jesus. Versus MVP. That's for the U.S. title. Let's do the women's matches next. We've got, for the SmackDown Women's title, we've got Bayley versus Nikki Cross and Asuka versus Sasha Banks. Aren't Sasha and Bayley on the same show? I don't know anymore. This is what I get for not following the show. Excuse me. And in the Wyatt Swamp fight, we've got Braun Strowman versus Bray Wyatt. So is Bray doing his old gimmick again, or what's the deal there? And in the Eye for an Eye match, we've got Rey Mysterio versus Seth Rollins. Somebody was telling me that the Eye for an Eye match was Lucha Underground type of thing. I'm like, no. Lucha Underground would have had somebody gouge their eye out in a backstage segment, and then when they do the match, they'd have the guy come out in an eye patch. That's what Lucha Underground would have done. This is like... The match can only be won when one competitor extracts an eye from their... That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Who the fuck would sanction such a thing? That's so stupid. And then for the main event, we've got in a TBD match. So it's a gimmick match that hasn't been determined yet. It's Dolph Ziggler challenging Drew McIntyre, and I don't really care, to be perfectly honest. So, that is that. Not great. No, it's not. It's really not great. We're getting Machine Guns versus the North on Tuesday. Okay. I have not watched any of Impact since the COVID thing started, so I don't know what's going on with them. Who's winning the G1 Climax? I have no idea. Okay. Ray is working without a contract. I'd heard that his contract had come up. Okay, so Sasha and Bayley are the tag champs, so they can go to any show. Okay. That explains that. Well, to be fair, it's like the match hasn't happened yet, so I don't want to bash it before it happens, but that is the most idiotic gimmick I think I've ever seen in my life. Okay, both Sasha and Bayley are on SmackDown, but they're the women's tag champs, so they can be on all 3 shows. Okay. So basically, the women's tag titles are a golden ticket to do whatever you want. I got a golden ticket. I've got a golden ticket. So yeah, Slammiversary. Well, I guess I'll ask, for anybody that saw Slammiversary last night, what did you all think of the show? Did you think it was good? What went right, Lucha Underground? Oh, I should do like a Lucha Underground video where I do like top 10 episodes or something like that, because I really enjoyed Lucha Underground. Probably, since I've been doing this channel, probably more than any other wrestling show. Liv Morgan, for some reason, like, Liv Morgan and Mandy Rose I keep confusing. I don't know why. In my mind's eye, I keep confusing the two. I don't know why, but Liv Morgan, she looks like... I guess it's her gimmick. Is it her gimmick to be Jersey trash? Is that kind of the idea? Their match... Okay, they had a match on SmackDown in... 03 that ended in a no contest that was very, very good. That might be the best match they had together. But I know which one you're talking about in 02. That was the one where they did the I'll tap out while I pin you deal, and I was like, I hated that. That was terrible. Yes, I saw that. Eva Lise is going to be on Dynamite this week. I kind of popped for her. I would give it somewhere in the B range as far as grades. Okay. Okay. I mean, I'm still probably not going to watch it, which is weird. I think I've watched every Slammiversary since they started doing this. The first year I've skipped Slammiversary. Yeah. Who knows what the rules are? People just show up on the shows. Who knows? Yeah, Tori Wilson, that was another one that was like, holy shit, that woman is gorgeous. Gorgeous. If the Steve Austin Brian Pillman gun segment happened today, they would fight each other in a shoot your opponent. Oh my god, yeah, take it literally. Just go all the way with it and take it as literally as you can. No Way Out 06, that was a very good one, I recall. I remember feeling like that was the match they probably should have done at Mania, but yeah. I don't know, I think if their 03 match on SmackDown had a finish, I think I would call that one my favorite that they ever had. But that one, it was an amazing match that didn't have a finish, which is unfortunate, but... Their world title, Ray and Eddie's world title match in 04 and their steel cage match in 05. I remember the steel cage match, I don't remember the world title match. That one escapes me. Lucha Underground would have done that. Yeah, shoot yourself match. Shoot your opponent match. No, again, they would have had somebody get shot backstage and then have somebody wander out there with a gunshot wound to wrestle a match. That's what they would have done. Trish Stratus was gorgeous too. She had her moment. I remember when she was doing the Bubba Ray seduction bits where she was like making tables all sexy and crap, and I'm like, this is like, how old was I? I was like 16 when that was going on, and I was like, holy shit, this woman's stirring up some things. Billy Kidman was married to Tori, yes. Asia was the blonde, yes, she was a weak attempt to try and recreate China. Dario did get shot, yeah, they did do that. And the show ended with him getting resurrected. We never got a follow-up to it, which is a shame. remember, I did a live stream of that, watching that where Dario got shot. Remember when Bubba Ray got that 1,000-yard stare when he put people through a table? Yeah, it was great. It was a great character trait. I really liked it. But, yeah, well, since I've previewed Extreme Rules, finally, I was always the weird one. Lita's hotter than Trish. They're both super hot, but in different ways. Like, Lita's that, like, rocker chick type of hot, and Trish is like that supermodel hot. So they're both hot, but in different ways. So I guess it depends on which one you prefer. Personally, I'm a connoisseur. I think both can be super hot. Billy Kidman, yeah, I'm actually into the Nitro viewing. I got to where Billy became like one of the top cruiserweights on the show, and he's really good. He's really good. Mayhem 99, yeah, when Brett finally won the title and he mattered in WCW. I like the live sex selling, not just because Lita looked hot in it, but I like that because it was perfectly in line with Edge's character. I thought that was a perfect thing for him to do. If you had to pick one, would you rather be put through a glass table or be powerbombed through onto thumbtacks? I would pick the glass table. I would close my eyes so no shards got in my face or anything. But I would be like, that would be like a momentary, okay, that was bad, but I got some scrapes and cuts, but I think I'm okay. Powerbombing me onto thumbtacks, I'm like, this is gonna suck. Neither one is great, but if I had a choice, I would go to the glass table. No Mercy 04, that was the only pay-per-view that Smackdown did in 04 that wasn't a complete dumpster fire. Because that was the joke of the 04 Smackdown pay-per-view. It sucked, except for the Eddie JBL match. But then you have No Mercy 04, which was actually not a bad show, if I recall. That was the one that had the last ride match with JBL and Undertaker. I don't think Foley remembers that. That's the thing. He got slammed onto tacks, but I don't think he actually does remember that. Ugh. Do I have enough left? I think I do. Let's do this. Where's my... There it is. I love a good black and tan. I love a good black and tan. What did you think of the Chyna-Eddie Guerrero relationship? I thought it was great. I thought they had great chemistry. I thought it was super funny. I thought Eddie found his niche in WWE. I thought it worked. JBL's world title win. I liked it. I mean, I know that's an unpopular thing to say, but I thought JBL did really well as champion. No Way Out 04. Yeah, that was before Lesnar left. I think I remember the main event. I don't remember anything else from that show. I think, didn't Cena and Angle have a match on that show? If you could meet Macho Man and ask him one question, what would it be? Oh man, what would I ask Macho Man if I had the chance? How are you so awesome and how can I be as awesome as you? Because Macho Man was the best. Okay, there's a lot more Guinness than Pale Ale in this, but I'll make it work. Are you more of a Raw guy or a Smackdown guy? I switch back and forth, but nowadays I don't watch either, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so now that I've previewed and reviewed everything and I've got my booze, let's resume the question and answer. So, ask your questions away. We'll go until I can be on. Let's say I can go until 5:30, 6 o'clock. We'll keep it up. Unforgiven 01, yeah, that when Angle won the title from Austin. Yeah, because they kept teasing it like they weren't gonna. I didn't think Angle was gonna win, to be perfectly honest, because it's like they'd screwed him over at SummerSlam. Roddy Piper in the 80s on Twitter. Oh my god, that would have been amazing too. What's your favorite Greg Valentine match? Ooh. I really like his his I Quit match with Ronnie Garvin at Royal Rumble 1990. I love his steel cage match with Tito Santana for the IC title in 85. And there's one that sticks out to me. It's not the best match in the world, but it was my first Greg Valentine match. It was his match with Hogan in the Philadelphia Spectrum, and it was on one of the best of Hulkamania tapes that I got. And that's one, when I think of Greg, that's a match that always pops up to me. What's the video you're most proud of? I talked about it earlier, but the mapping out Wrestlemania video that I did in my first year, that was one that I think kind of established my personality and my thoughts and feelings on things, and that's one I look back on pretty fondly. Holy hobo beard, Batman. That's the best response so far. Armageddon 06 is mad underrated. I do not remember that show. What was on that show? Thoughts on the Shane McMahon-Kane feud in 03? They did some good stuff there. I mean, it was intense and crazy as fuck, but like the car battery and tombstoning Linda McMahon and that type of shit. But it was good. I mean, it was insane, but I enjoyed it. Oh, that's another Greg Valentine match. Yeah, the dog collar match with Piper. That's a great one, too. But, yeah, if Piper lost 50% of his hearing after that dog collar match, I'm not surprised because they beat the shit out of each other. What went wrong? Rhythm and Blues in WWF. Never should have happened. Poor. Every time I watch a clip of Rhythm and Blues, I feel so bad for Greg. I'm like, this is so outside of his wheelhouse. He should not be doing this. And you can tell he hated it. That was the other thing. What would you say? Would you say Mankind winning the WWF title in '99 is Michael Cole's best call ever? Yes, either that or his commentary during the I Quit match a few weeks later at Royal Rumble '99. He also did a very good job at that. What was your reaction when you saw Randy Savage on Spider-Man? Here's the thing, I remember it like it was yesterday. I saw the movie, I went with my sister and my brother. And we went to go see the movie, and my sister knew that Randy Savage was in the movie, and I did not. So she kept it a secret because she wanted to see my reaction. So when Randy Savage popped up, I went nuts in the theater. Like my sister was like, "Dude, the look on your face when Randy Savage popped up was amazing." And it's again one of those like theater experiences that I remember very fondly because it was they had like a wide shot on him, so you couldn't really tell it was him. And then I saw him do the elbow drop, and I'm like, "Wait, is that Randy Savage?" And then they did the close up. I'm like, "It's Randy Savage!" Bonesaw is ready! And I'm like, this is great. This is so great. So, that was good stuff. Alright, thank you, movie fan. I appreciate it. Long-time viewer. Glad to have him around. Who had the worst time in their WWE run, DDP or Raven? And could either of those guys have been built up as opponents for Rock or Austin? Yes to the latter question, for sure. You let DDP and Raven go, they could be a good match for just about anybody. Who had the worst run? I would say DDP because that was clearly vindictive. Like, what they did to him was like, oh, fuck WCW. And it was... I get mad whenever I think about it. Armageddon 06 had the Kane and MVP Inferno match, the 4-way tag team ladder match, and Undertaker and Kennedy in the last ride match. Okay, that's interesting. I did not watch the full show. However, I did watch the ladder match, and I did watch the last ride match. I enjoyed both of those, but I didn't watch the full show. Was the main event like some weird 4-way? It was like Batista and like Finlay and like 2 other guys in a 4-way or something weird like that. Yeah, where Joey Mercury's face exploded. Yeah, that was bad. That was really bad. Brian Pillman on Twitter. Oh, during 97, that would have been great. What went wrong? Kane getting unmasked. It worked for a while, and then they kind of abandoned everything that made that character work. I kind of like the entrance where he came out in handcuffs and had the towel over his head and everything. That was great. If you could ask Bruno Sammartino one question, what would you ask him? Would you have been open to working against Hulk Hogan in a match in the mid-'80s? Because I feel like, I think back on it all the time, but Bruno worked WrestleMania 2. And Hogan defended the title at WrestleMania 2. And I thought, man, what if they'd done that match? Like, what would happen? And I would have asked Sammartino if that's something that he would have been open to doing. Because they would have had to convince him to do it. But, yeah, it would have been interesting. English announce table, Spanish announce table, Ho Chi Minh Chow, Chinese announce table, all the languages down the Rock's Rumble. That was one of the best promo packages, by the way, for any match ever, the I Quit match at Royal Rumble 99. What European countries would you want to travel to? Italy, Ireland, for sure. I'd like to go to England at some point. I've never been outside of the country, so that's something I'd like to change. But those are my top three right there. England, Ireland, and Italy, for sure. Bruce Campbell is great in that movie. Bruce Campbell's great in everything he's in. I've been rewatching Hercules and Xena, and he has a character on that, and he's great in that. Bruce Campbell is just an amazing, amazing human being. Amazing performer. What are some underrated 90s movies that you enjoy? I'll say this one. I Love You to Death. And that's a movie not a lot of people have seen. I don't think it ever got a DVD release. Because it bombed in theaters and nobody saw it. It's one of these weird movies that nobody's seen, but it has Kevin Kline in it. It has Tracy Ullman. And I think it's a really funny, kind of bizarre, dark, heartfelt film. And I really like it, and not a lot of people have seen it, but I highly recommend checking it out. River Phoenix is in it. Keanu Reeves is in it. I think it's worth checking out. DDP did job to Undertaker's wife, and that was unfortunate. Favorite ever WCW moment? When Sting showed up at Uncensored 97 and beat the shit out of the NWO. That's one of the greatest things I've ever seen. I mean, you want to talk about a mark-out moment? I marked the fuck out when I saw that. It was crazy. Did you ever watch the Pokemon anime? Once, and I couldn't finish it. It was terrible. I was like, what the fuck am I watching right now? I couldn't make it through. It was terrible. But I was also a teenager at that point, so I was like, kind of beyond that type of stuff. What was the best moment for WWE during the 2010 to 2020, since we ain't getting crowds soon? Best moment in the WWE? I mean, it has to be something from NXT. Like the Bayley-Sasha match or something like that, because, I don't know. Punk winning the title at Money in the Bank, that was pretty cool. And the pipe bomb that happened a few weeks before. It was Cena and Batista versus Edge and Finlay, I think. Okay. Armageddon 06, so it was one of those shows that had, like, a good undercard and a shitty main event. Okay, got it. Hogan versus Bruno could have sold out the Garden in 10 seconds, probably. In 86, yeah, probably could have. If you were, say, English or Canadian, would you want to visit America? I would. There's a lot of good stuff here. A lot of good stuff to see here in America. I mean, not right now, because of COVID and everything, but under normal circumstances, yeah, if I lived outside of America, I'd love to visit here. I live near DC, and so it's kind of like easy to take a lot of the sights and sounds of DC for granted, but there's a lot of cool stuff there to see. Finlay deserved to be world champion, though. I don't know. I like Finlay, but I don't know if he was ever world title worthy. Thoughts on Invader Sim? I really enjoyed Invader Sim. I really liked the movie that they did on Netflix. I was like, I really enjoyed it. It's dark and creepy and weird, but I always enjoyed Invader Sim. The Organs episode is one of the best. The organ harvesting episode is one of the best, like, dark comedies I've ever seen. It was incredible. I've seen Iron Maiden 3 times after their shows, and they play through the speakers, always look on the bright side of life. By the way, if you have not seen Life of Brian, I highly recommend it. It is a masterpiece, and that song is great. One of the best endings to any film ever. Always look on the bright side of life. Doo-doo, 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 doo-doo. The Pokemon games are better. I'm sure they are. I've never played the games, outside of Smash Brothers, but... Xena was introduction manhood. Xena, I mean, it's a great show, and I might review it and do another like massive like lockdown review, and Xena would be included in that. But yeah, that show was it's a lot of fun. 5 worst movies you saw in theaters. Dr. Dolittle 2 is my number 1. That was a piece of shit, and I saw that in theaters. That's the closest I've ever come to walking out of a movie. I'll throw 98 Godzilla up there because of what it meant to me personally. I'll throw Rise of Skywalker up there because of what it means to me personally. Batman v Superman is up there because that was my birthday. We were celebrating my birthday when we went to go see it. I'm like, wow, happy birthday to me. This is awful. Totally terrible. And one more. When I was a kid, my sister and I dragged our father to The Pebble and the Penguin, and I still apologize to my dad this day, because that movie, even as a kid, I thought the movie was terrible, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry that we dragged you to that. Alright, Bruce Campbell was hilarious as the narrator of the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man video games. I played one of those. I don't remember him being the narrator. I'll have to go back and play it. The Pokemon games are better. I'm sure they are. Favorite swear word? I really like saying fuck. Fuck is a fun word to say. And very versatile. It's really enjoyable. Favorite ECW match? I have to think about that for a second. Probably one of the RVD Jerry Lynn matches. If I had to, like, go in one direction, probably one of the RVD Jerry Lynn matches. Yeah, that whole entrance. Oh, God, that whole entrance when Rodman came out with the NWO, and I think the show was in Chicago. That whole thing is awesome. And unfortunately on the network, because they played Voodoo Child for the original entrance, and on the network they had to cut it out. But, yeah, that whole entrance is fucking sweet. Yeah, Daniel Bryan winning in Mania 30, that was pretty cool. I think I said the last time I rewatched it, I was like, the entire time I was watching the match, I was thinking, man, I keep waiting for them to pull the rug out from under us, but no, it actually happened. Luger winning the world title in Nitro, that was cool. The 100th Nitro, that was an awesome moment. The peak of Lex Luger's career, probably. Okay. You were at, Jake Owens, I was at the Smackdown taping after Armageddon 06. How was that? Did you enjoy it? Yeah, New York's got a lot of stuff. Like, Manhattan is great. I love walking around Manhattan. There's a lot of cool stuff there. Dark Harvest, that episode is theorized to have inspired a real-life murder. Well, you know, my whole attitude is if a psychopath is looking to media to inspire him, it's like, that person is going to do something sick and crazy anyway. They don't need a cartoon or a show or a movie to do it for them. It's like that line from Scream. It's like, movies don't make psychos, they just make the psychos more creative. Have you ever watched a Bollywood musical? No, I have not. Jeez, a kid committed a copycat murder? That's insane. Favorite ever... Wait, ooh. Alright. Favorite ever South Park episode and moment. Favorite episode is the episode where the dog whisperer came in and tried to train Cartman. I think that is a great episode. Wonderful episode. To me, represents the show at its very best. Favorite moment. anything with Okay, I'll tell you my favorite moment, because it was the first South Park episode I ever saw. The Chili Con Carnival. And when Cartman revealed that he had orchestrated the death of Scott Tenorman's parents, took their bodies and cooked it into chili and fed it to Scott Tenorman, I was like, that is the most amazing thing I have ever seen in anything ever. And such a great payoff, and I've been a fan ever since. Because the first few years, I saw it as kind of like this immature teenager thing that was like, whatever, it's a fucking stupid show. It looks stupid, it looks cheap, I just didn't watch it. And then I finally watched that episode. I was like, okay, I'm on board with this. This is amazing. And South Park's been, I've been watching it ever since. So I'm glad I watched that episode. There was a Dr. Dolittle too. There was. The Eddie Murphy Dr. Dolittle too. And it's, if you like piss jokes, if you like shit jokes, watch that movie, because that's basically the entire movie. WrestleMania 20. My brother had the 3-disc set of that, I think. I'll have to go talk to him and see if he still has it. What would a WCW One Night Stand have looked like in 05? Under, ideal circumstances, we would have had Sting, we would have had Goldberg, we would have had DDP, we would have had the Horsemen, we would have had the NWO, we would have had some cruiserweight matches, we would have had, Eddie versus Benoit would have been on either... it was on the One Night Stand show, but it's we probably would have had it on the WCW show, too. Yeah, there's plenty of cool stuff they could have done. Suicide Squad, I didn't see that in theaters, so I saw it eventually when it came out to home video, but I didn't see it in theaters. Please never sing again. I make no promises, especially when alcohol is involved. Did you ever review The Joker? I don't think I did. I liked it. I liked the movie a lot. I thought it was very good. The online controversy was stupid. Personal opinion, I thought the online controversy was stupid, but yeah, no, I thought the movie was great. I thought Joaquin Phoenix's performance was great. I thought the ending was one of the most tense things I've watched in a dog's age. I thought the movie was very good. What are your thoughts on WCW's World War III matches? A bit of a clusterfuck. I don't passionately hate them like a lot of other people do, but they were kind of clusterfucky and not ideal. There's probably... It's one of those ideas that looks better on paper than it does in execution. Yeah, Voodoo Child... Unfortunately, they can dub over Voodoo Child with the NWO theme, and that works almost as well. Oh, God. Oh, my God. Hogan's not Voodoo Child theme that the WWE uses to dub over it is the worst thing I've ever heard. I've never been that far out west. How are LA and San Fran? Are those worth checking out? WWF New York, I always wanted to go there. Obviously it didn't happen, but I always wanted to go there. Na 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 na, I heard you eat your parents. Na 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 na. Who do you think is the most overrated internet darling of all time? Reckless Youth. That was a guy that the internet was praising. He was like an indie guy. He was Reckless Youth. And if you remember him, God bless you. But he was one that everybody said was going to be a megastar, and it never happened. Where were you on 9/11? I think I've told this story before. I was at a Catholic school at the time, and we had the beginning of the school year mass, which is a thing in Catholic schools. But we had the beginning of the school year church service mass. We finished the mass, and then the president of the school takes the microphone and lets us know what happened, and you could have heard a pin drop in that room. It was the weirdest thing I've ever experienced, where you have the priest going, "The mass has ended, go now and serve the Lord," and then you have the president of the school get up there and say, "By the way, our country's under attack." It's like, what the fuck is going on? It was weird. It was a very weird and crazy day, especially when they announced that the Pentagon had also been hit. And that sent us all into a panic, because I went to school in D.C., and I was like, oh, well, shit. So this is hitting way too close to home, quite literally. Best and worst episodes of The Simpsons and Family Guy. My favorite Simpsons episode, God. I mean, I love the Treehouse of Horror episodes, but best episode, I would say, is Homer's Enemy, with the Frank Grimes episode. I love that episode. It could have been a series finale in a weird way. Because it's the show poking fun at its own, incongruence with the real world. And I think that would have made for a great finale if they had decided to end the show on that point. Family Guy, my favorite episode is probably the Brian and Stewie, the first one, the road trip that they did, Road to Rhode Island. Worst episode of The Simpsons, I mean, I don't know, like anything in the last 10 years where it's just depressing to watch. Worst Family Guy episode is the one where they were trapped inside for the rain and Meg finally snapped at them. And then the episode finally concluded that Meg needs to be the punching bag to keep the family together. I'm like, that's a horrible message to send to people and not funny at all. It wasn't even played for laughs, which is the biggest problem. Alright, South Park or Ren and Stimpy? I think my fandom of Ren and Stimpy as a kid made me accept South Park in my older days. I would say I'm more of a fan of South Park, but Ren and Stimpy, pushed me into that, darker edge that I learned to appreciate. And then years later it was revealed that Scott Tenorman's dad was also Cartman's dad. Yep, it was also a great twist. I really liked it. Yeah, South Park is legendary at this point. I think it's... and it's the only one of all the shows I watched at that point, from that period, like The King of the Hills, The Simpsons, The Family Guys, those type of adult cartoons. It's the only one that's still around and still solid. It's not as good as it once was, but it's still solid. And I think that's respectable. They've stayed good for a longer period than Simpsons did and than Family Guy did. And then you have American Dad, which has been on the air for 17 years. And I'm like... what the fuck? I stopped watching that show after season 3, and it's still around. Eddie and Ray for One Night Stand? Yeah, that's probably a likely one they would have done. What online controversy isn't stupid? That's a great question. Okay. Oh my goodness, I think Okay, do you follow the NHL? Yes, I do. Are you looking forward to the upcoming Stanley Cup playoffs? I mean, yeah, I'm going to watch it. Just anything to get me sports and something to enjoy again. That would be nice. Favorite wrestling promo? HBK in Montreal 2005. Still the greatest heel promo ever in my eyes. Favorite promo ever? God, I'd have to think about that. It's hard to say. Because there's been so many great ones. But one that, for some reason, the first one that popped into my head was Austin on the beer truck. And he was running down the Rock and the McMahons and everything. And he goes into this whole bit where he's like, I'm going to roll right into the Smackdown hotel, go right into room 316, and proceed to burn that son of a bitch to the ground. And I'm like, that is awesome. That is so fucking cool. Thoughts on barbed wire death matches? You can have good ones. But sometimes they go too far and get too ridiculous. And more often than not, they get ridiculous. But it is possible to have a good one. A good dramatic story within a barbed wire death match. But sometimes they go too far and just get silly. Do you think WWE will bring back World War III? God, I hope not. WWE's making more money now than they ever have before. Is that true? Because their audience is smaller than it's ever been before, but it's like they found the magical formula to squeezing as much money as they can out of their current audience. Yeah, no, it's like, dude, you can't pay for the rights to Voodoo Child? What's wrong with you? You went to WWE New York once. How was that? What are your thoughts on the afterlife? I've been raised Catholic. I've been raised to believe that there's a heaven and a hell and everything like that. However, I accept that I'm just a human being that doesn't have all the answers, so I don't know. The idea of an afterlife is nice to think about, but I don't have all the answers, so... Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, I'll find out when I get there. That's my take. Ultimate Warrior versus Goldberg in 98. You joke. I guarantee, had the Ultimate Warrior worked better in 98, they would have done that match. Great food beaches. So, okay. I'll have to check out California when I'm allowed to travel again. Was that the same school where you couldn't make sound during lunchtime? Oh, God, have I told this story before? No, in high school, they were a little bit more lax and easier to control, easier to deal with, but I had my own problems in high school that I don't want to talk about now, but in grade school, I went to a Catholic school where they would not let us talk during lunch. They were that strict, and I was like, I've told that story to people, and they look at me like I'm crazy, where it's like, that's not true, you're making that up. I'm like, no, I am not making that up. Silent lunch was a thing that we dealt with in grade school, and it was the craziest thing ever. Walking Dead, do you still watch the show? I haven't watched the last season. I was watching it, but I haven't watched the last season. I don't watch it live anymore. I'll probably watch the new season, the latest season when it drops on Netflix, just to see how it is. But my interest in that show has waned considerably. Your mother worked in Manhattan at the time of 9/11. Oh, that must have been a fun day. Teddy Hart. Oh my God, yeah, that's a guy. That's a guy that sniffed his own farts and is a bit of a crazy person. Okay. So I think who the fuck is Reckless Youth? Great question. He was a vanilla midget on the indie scene that people thought was going to be hot shit and then didn't amount to anything. Were you a fan of Seinfeld? Yes, I was. It was one of the best shows on TV during that period. I had a girl almost dump me for never watching American Dad. Somebody's watching that show. I don't know who, but... well, here's the thing. America didn't stop after 9/11. It's not like the world stopped. Because I went to school the next day. I literally did. I went to school the next day. Well, actually, did I? Did they... I know I was back in school later that week, at least. We may have taken a day off the next day, but, no, the world kept moving, and we were all paranoid and scared as shit, but the world didn't shut down because of 9/11. What were your favorite Cartoon Network shows? Samurai Jack, and then a bunch of Adult Swim shows. Who's more beloved, Ray or Eddie? I feel like Eddie is these days, probably because he passed away, but... Is Hogan vs. Warrior 2 the ultimate -5-star match? It's up there. It's for sure up there. I did like the Sabu Abyss barbed wire match. It was brutal, but I did enjoy that match. Patrick Mahomes, they needed to pay him more, because I think he really is something special. I don't know if I would have given him that big of a contract, but yeah, Mahomes, they needed to pay the man, get him under contract, because he really is something special. I think he should have gone to the Super Bowl the year before. I wasn't a fan of how that Patriots game ended. What would have gone right? Blade Runners versus Mega Powers in 1990. Oh, God. To have such a thing would have been amazing. What went wrong? Final seasons of Game of Thrones. What didn't go wrong with the final seasons of Game of Thrones? No, I agree with your answer. One match I never understood the hype around was Angle and Lesnar at Mania 19. I never understood it. I was like, they botched the finish. Angle had to pull an ending out of his ass. And leading up to that spot, I didn't think the match was, exceptional. It was a good match. I don't even say it's a good match. I just don't love it like a lot of other people do. Thoughts on Aqua Teen Hunger Force? I loved it in high school. It was a great show. I stopped watching it after a while, and then I heard they were doing their last episode. I'm like, that show's still going? Because it was on the air for a long time, but I really liked the random insanity of it. It was perfect for me in high school. How long is this stream? I was going to go until about 5:30, 6 o'clock. Best episode of Blackadder. Oh, the finale to Blackadder Goes Forth kind of stands out just for its ending. I also really like some of the ones they did in Blackadder 2. There was the one where they had the nuns over for dinner or whatever, that whole weird thing. And I thought that was a super, super funny episode. Do you think the Cleveland Indians will also change their name? Yes, I do. It's going to happen at some point. Would you ever do a Mystery Science Theater 3000 style watch-along for Heroes of Wrestling? I've thought about doing something like that, like an MST3K style type of show for not just a wrestling show, but any kind of thing. I've decided not to do that because I don't think I'm that funny, and I don't think I could pull it off as well. Do you have any stupid stories from high school that you remember, and please tell if you do? Any stupid stories? Nothing that I did, because I was kind of a shadow in the hallway, but, I mean, I saw kids do stupid shit all the time. That was the thing. I don't have anything specific that I was tied to, but I saw plenty of stupid stuff happen, like kids, like, smoking marijuana and then walking right into school. There was one time where one of my best friends, he was carpooling, he was driving a bunch of people to school, and some idiot thought it would be a great idea to spike his, he had a thermos full of water, or something, it was like Gatorade or something, and he spiked it with vodka, and so my poor friend got drunk going into school, and we had to, like, protect him from getting caught by the teachers. So that was pretty funny. I also had another incident where, it was my senior year, and one of my classes was like, we're going down to the college showcase that they're doing, where a bunch of colleges came to the school and gave us pamphlets and all this other stuff. But I was like, but I'm a senior and I'm in college, so I've already gotten my acceptance, so I don't need to go to this, right? And it's like, no, you have to go to this because we need to keep track of everybody. I was like, that's fucking stupid. So me and all the other seniors in the class, we ditched it, and we walked off and did our own thing. And we sat in, like, the main lobby area where no one was around, and we were talking and shooting the shit and stuff, and then we heard our teacher coming up the stairs, and it was like something out of the Breakfast Clubs. We all just scattered and ran off elsewhere, so it was that was kind of a fun moment. Okay, Should Lesnar have tried the shooting star again? No, I think he was scared straight after doing that. When it comes to the Adam Cole rumors about leaving AEW or leaving WWE for AEW to be closer to Britt, what do you think? I mean, it's just a rumor. That sounds like something that could have easily been made up. I don't know. He's been pushed really well by NXT as one of their top guys. I could see him going to Raw or SmackDown, so I just don't... I don't imagine it, but we'll see. If you could hire 5 wrestlers to be in a horror movie, who would they be? Undertaker, Jake Roberts, Bray Wyatt, Kane, and Raven. That would be my 5. I was an NES fan. My favorite games on NES were the Mario games. I love Legend of Zelda games, specifically the first one. Star Tropics was a favorite game of mine that not a lot of people remember, but it's one that I have a lot of fond memories of. Metroid I was a big fan of on the old NES. Yeah, I'd say those are my favorite. Oh, Mega Man 2. I got to talk about Mega Man 2, one of the greatest games of all time. DuckTales, one of the greatest games of all time. All good shit. Would you like to see Dark Side of the Ring on Heroes of Wrestling? Yes, that would be a great episode, actually. What are your thoughts on the Giants 49ers 2002 wildcard game? One of those painful memories as a Giants fan. That was awful. It's funny because the referees botched a call at the very end, where it was a botched field goal and we went for a throw and the 49ers interfered. We should have gotten pass interference on that. It's like, okay, I could be upset about that except for the fact that the Giants were leading by like 28, I think it was like 28 points, and we still lost the game. I'm like, yeah, no, fuck that. Giants blew that game. I don't care what anybody says. Could you make it last until 6? Because this is too much fun. I don't know if I can go another hour. We'll see. We'll play it by ear. A bit dark, but did your school take precaution after Columbine in 99? Yes, they actually had one of our teachers like, if anybody wants to talk, now is the time to do it. And that type of stuff. So it was a really weird atmosphere at the time. Where was I when it was... I was in school while all of it was going on. So we actually didn't hear about it until I didn't hear about it until I got home from school because we didn't have cell phones yet. What year did you graduate high school from? 2003. Link to the Past is a great game. Yes, yeah, I would agree it's better than the original. Majora's Mask, I liked it. I didn't love it as much as Ocarina or Link to the Past, or even Twilight Princess, which I think is underrated now. Thoughts on the Boogeyman? Solid, fun, dumb character. Never was going to go too much far beyond where he did, but there were some good moments with the Boogeyman. Is that the most angry you've been during a Giants game? It's close. The Deshaun Jackson punt return was another one where I was really, really angry. Who do you hate more, the Cowboys, Eagles, or Patriots and Bray? Well, Eagles we can take off the list because I don't like them, but I rooted for them against the Patriots in the Super Bowl. So it's like, all right, so they can take them off the list. Cowboys or Patriots? I'd say I hate the Cowboys more. They irritate me more. I've gotten used to the Patriots winning all the time, but I mean, Brady, it's not even a question of like hating Brady. It's just more like I lump him in with the Patriots, and that's how that works. I do have a 3DS. I have not played the port of Majora's Mask, so maybe that'll be worth checking out. Yeah, the Bills, man. I know, like I said, God hates you guys. I don't know why. A wrestling match you wish you could have been in attendance for. Hogan versus Rock at WrestleMania. I would have loved to have been in that crowd. How does Breath of the Wild compare to Ocarina or Link to the Past for you? Breath of the Wild is very, very good. I really, really liked it. To me, it's the true spiritual sequel to the original game because it has that, like, alright, figure it out. You just go off and explore and do whatever the fuck you want. And I like that type of freedom and that sense of exploration was very, very good. My biggest knock on Breath of the Wild is that I thought the dungeons were a little weak. The dungeons were not very good. Except for Hyrule Castle. Hyrule Castle was really cool. But other than that, I didn't really like... the dungeons in that game. The main dungeons. Now, the shrines were great. I loved all the little shrines because they were like mini puzzles. That was all great. But a lot of good stuff in that game. Would Evil Doink work in WWE now? I mean, probably. It's a cool character. It would probably work now. What pro sports fan base do you think is the most annoying? Probably the Cowboys. Because they think they're great and they haven't been relevant since I was 11 years old. But, you know. If you could have Steve Mongo McMichael and Goldberg on your fantasy football team, would you? I don't play fantasy football, so that's not a thing I do. Yankees, yeah, the Yankees are also up there. Do you have any stories of watching wrestling with friends? Not really. In recent years, I've had a couple of parties where I've had a couple of friends over to watch like an AEW pay-per-view or an ROH pay-per-view or something like that, and those are fun because we just play Peanut Gallery the whole time. The best one was when I had him over for WrestleMania that one year, and when Triple H went over Sting, we all just looked at each other and were like, of course that happened. Of course that fucking happened. And one of my friends was like, suck the fun out of that. So that was a fun experience. But for my youth, not really. Wrestling was a thing I kind of did on my own. Thoughts on Wind Waker? Great game. Love most of it. My biggest knock on it is sailing from place to place is super, super tedious. But other than that, I think it's a very good game. I like the look of it, too. It looks like a storybook come to life. How do you think it would be like if cats in the real world were like how they are in Garfield? Well, and it'd be a funnier place because the cats are super funny. Like if I had a cat like Garfield, I'd be happy, even though he'd eat me out of house and home. Have you played Link's Awakening? I have. Link's Awakening is a very good game. Yes, I really enjoyed it. Favorite Pixar movies? My favorite one is Ratatouille. And that's an odd one. People don't typically say that, but Ratatouille was one I really liked. I would also throw the Toy Story movies up there, Finding Nemo up there, and WALL-E I really liked. So I'd say those are the best. Thoughts on the Paper Mario series? I've never played them. And people tell me they're really good. I've never actually played the Paper Mario series. I should probably get on that. Doink versus Joker versus It, or Pennywise. That'd be an interesting match. Giants Mount Rushmore. Oh, God. It would be Lawrence Taylor, Michael Strahan. God, I'd say Phil Simms and Eli Manning. Those would be my picks. Better song, Man Called Singer or The Crow Theme? The Crow Theme. The Crow Theme works better. I mean, I love the Man Called Sting because it's how cheesy it is, but it's not. The Crow Theme is like on another level. Dr. Mario thoughts. Fun puzzle game. Like one of those like Tetris-y type of knockoffs. I really enjoyed that game. The Wii U port of Wind Waker helps the sailing. I haven't played it on the Wii U. I should probably do that. Thoughts on Zelda 2 Link's Adventure? Good game. Hard as fuck. Like, that, I could not beat the game without Game Genie. It was that hard. It's one of those games that I had to cheat to beat it. But it's a good game. It's different from other Zelda games, but it's good. It's just hard as shit. Yeah, the Wyatt family, they could have been so much bigger than they were. Yeah, lasagna would no longer exist if every cat was like Garfield. What was your favorite memory of your brother while watching wrestling? We went to SummerSlam 05, and Andy and I, my brother, we were big Hulkamaniacs when we were kids. So getting to go with him to that show and to finally see a Hulk Hogan match in person, he was super, super happy. And that's a very fond memory I have of watching wrestling with my bro. And actually, we bought him a Hulk Hogan hat, a Hulkamania hat, at that show. And when he passed away, we buried him in the hat. So that was that's something that I have a really fond memory of. Would you still consider December to Dismember the worst pay-per-view in WCW or WWE history? It's up there. It's still up there. If it's not number 1, it's number 2 or 3. I can't think off the top. I mean, that one Battleground pay-per-view was really bad. The one with the Punjabi prison match. But, yeah. Great when you've got the family together for Thanksgiving and you beat the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. It's a great feeling. Paper Mario 1000-Year Door is amazing. I will take that under consideration. Joker versus Doink versus It versus Krusty. Walla Walla! Cucamonga! Seattle! Do you think Big Show was the Andre the Giant of the Attitude Era and Ruthless Aggression Era? He could have been, but they hardly ever booked him properly. That was the problem, where he's a big guy that loses most of the time and gets slammed around all over the place, so it kind of kills the mystique. I loved watching him in this recent Nitro rewatch that I've been doing. I loved watching him in Nitro. And I'm like, yeah, this is closer to what he always should have been. But, yeah. Lance Storm once sang the Man Called Sting song. Did he? I don't remember that. Thoughts on the CDI Zelda games? I never played them, but God, they're funny. God, they are funny. Oh my God, they look terrible. Thoughts on WWF gimmicks? Repo Man, Skinner, Max Moon, and Damian Demento. I feel like Well, Repo Man was stupid. That would have never worked. Max Moon, they didn't think that out. I don't even know what that was supposed to be. Damien Demento was like the precursor to Planet Stasiak, where he's just crazy, but they never really figured out why he was crazy or a backstory or anything like that. Skinner could have worked if they had thought it out a little better. I feel like Skinner could have worked. Because it's like, there could have been like a Bray Wyatt style character in there that they didn't tap into at all. Favorite Eddie Guerrero match? This might be controversial, but the Judgment Day 04 match with JBL. That's probably my favorite. Runner-up would be the Halloween Havoc match with Ray at 97. But that match with JBL, that was one of the few times where I was like marking out at the TV and I was like, stop the match, stop the match, stop the match. And I was like just begging for the match to stop it. As a result of that, I totally got sucked into it. So I've got a lot of fond memories of that one. You more of a cat person or a dog person? I'm more of a dog person. Dogs are great. I love a good dog. Celtic Bird, welcome. Love the beard. Thank you. It's not going to last too much longer, but thanks anyway. How would you start a Hogan-Austin feud if you were writing it? Oh, God. I would... Well, at this point... Okay, let's say they were doing this in 2005, 2006. I would have Hogan come out, win a match, because Hogan was still somewhat wrestling at that point. And then after the match is over, you hear the glass break, and Austin comes down and has a stare down with Hogan. That would be a pretty good start to that whole thing. A movie you wish you would have been in theaters for in the first screening? Star Wars, for sure. Like the original Star Wars. Rocky also. Rocky's also one I would have loved to have been there when it first came out to theaters. But both of them happened before I was born, so that wasn't going to happen. Rhodes Brothers versus Shield. Yeah, that was a great match. Can you do the Mark Hamill Joker laugh? No, I can't. Not as well as him. See, it's not as good as Hamill. I can't do it. But I tried, and that's what matters most. Battleground 2017 video from you, another one of your all-time great videos. Was that the one where I was just pissed off and done? Where I was like, I remember being super angry after that, after that video. Besides big playoff wins and Super Bowl wins, what's your favorite Giants win of all time? I have to think about that. When we beat Dallas in Week 17 to get the playoff spot for Super Bowl 46, the one that led to Super Bowl 46, because I thought for sure the Giants were going to blow it. I was like, the Giants are going to blow it and our season's done. Because Giants fans are super negative and that's how we roll. But we won, and it was great, and it got us off to a great start heading into the playoffs that year. Are you a Bob Dylan fan? Not really. I don't dislike his work, but I wouldn't consider myself a huge fan. The Boiler Room Brawl. I remember that match. The Mankind and Big Show. Yeah, it was. What pay-per-view was that? Backlash 99. Thoughts on UFC Fight Island? I haven't watched any of it. I should probably check it out because I've heard good things. But it sounded interesting, but I just haven't checked it out. Eddie versus Brock is up there too. I don't remember loving the match that much. I do remember marking out big time for the ending, just for Eddie winning the title. That's the thing I remember most about that match. That and Goldberg's interference. Sheamus, you know, it's weird. Sheamus is a guy that I should love. But I think he's just been mishandled so terribly that I just never got into him. Ring work-wise, I think he's a solid big man power guy. And there's a lot of good things that he does in there. It's just he was never handled or promoted properly. What wrestling moment made you angry but everybody else loves it? I can't think of anything that stands out to me. Nothing really jumps out at me. What are the Joey Ryan accusations about? Well, apparently the sleazy porn star guy was living the gimmick outside of the wrestling show a little bit too much. Dream match, mid-'80s Roddy Piper versus late '90s HBK. Oh, God. There aren't enough there isn't a microphone on this planet that's powerful enough to handle those two together. Thoughts on Heath Ledger's Joker? Great. I thought he hit it out of the park. Great performance. What did you think of Mark Henry's fake retirement speech in 2011? Great segment. Ultimately didn't go anywhere, but the segment was great. A match that still gives you chills. I mean, I've watched Hogan and Andre so many times, and every time I watch it, I still get goosebumps for it. So it's really great when you can have those matches that really capture your imagination and really get you excited, no matter how many times you've watched it. Coca-Cola or Pepsi? I don't drink soda. I cut those out of my diet. Now, when I decided to start dieting and working out, that was one of the first things I did was cut soda out completely. I'd say before then I was more of a Pepsi guy, but I haven't had... I think in the last 4 years I've had 3 sodas. Not counting mixed drinks, obviously, but still. Guns N' Roses, AC/DC, or Motley Crue? I love all three. All three are great, but AC/DC taps into that specific I want to party type of feel that I get. They're a one-trick pony, but goddamn, it's a hell of a trick. So I'd say AC/DC is my favorite one to listen to. Thoughts on the San Diego Padres? They're not the Orioles, so I hate them. That's kind of my attitude. Looking back on some gimmicks in the past, what were some that were way ahead of their time? Bad News Brown. Bad News Brown was Steve Austin before there was Steve Austin. Waylon Mercy is one that just missed the Attitude Era by a couple years. If he had been around during the Attitude Era, I think he could have been big. Those are two that stand out. Thoughts on the Masters of the Universe movie? I talked about it earlier. I enjoy that movie. I really do. Most of the disappointments and problems with that movie can be summed up as they didn't have a budget. And Dolph Lundgren was forced on them. Not the best actor in the world, but there are a lot of things about that movie I really enjoy. The most of which being Frank Langella's performance as Skeletor. I think he's really good. Thoughts on PewDiePie? Never really a fan of his videos. I felt like his videos were more for a younger crowd, like that teenage crowd. But God bless him. I mean, he does his thing and became widely successful for it. So he delivered on something that people wanted to see, and good on him. I never got sucked into his videos or overly intrigued by what he did. But good on him. Thoughts on the Velveteen Dream fiasco? Well, it answers the question why he didn't win the title when I thought he was going to. I don't want to say that somebody did something until we have definitive proof. So that's kind of where I stand with it right now. But it's man, if it is true, that's pretty bad. What do you think is the Star Wars of this generation? Harry Potter or the MCU? Right now it's the MCU, but Star Wars or Harry Potter has created a rabid fan base as well. So maybe both, I think, would be an interesting answer. Jericho and HBK for Mania 19. Yeah, that's a really good one. I love that match. Have you listened to Sabaton? I have not. I don't even know what that is. What wrestling storylines do you like but nobody else does? I like the... I kind of got a kick out of the Abyss Sting feud in TNA, where James Mitchell was revealed to be Abyss's father, and Abyss shot him when they were kids, when he was a kid, or some weird crap like that. There was a lot of crazy crap going on there. It's I kind of dig this. It's insane, but I kind of dug it. But everybody else online hated it. So, do you hate the New York Mets since they're not the Orioles? Yeah, of course. That's how I roll. Oakland A's. Yeah, I have a soft spot for the Oakland A's because of the whole Moneyball thing. But yeah. Which would I rather do? Score a winning Super Bowl touchdown for the Giants or have a 5-star wrestling match at WrestleMania in front of 80,000 people? I would love to score a winning touchdown in the Super Bowl. That's the stuff that dreams are made out of. Babyface wrestler today. God, that's hard. I I would have said Bailey, but she's not a face anymore. I guess right now Cody, because I really like his more old school style, and I really appreciate watching Cody. Favorite Star Wars movie and least favorite Star Wars movie? My favorite Star Wars movie is Empire Strikes Back, with A New Hope and Return of the Jedi not far behind that, because I love the original trilogy. Least favorite of the main episodes, I would actually say Rise of Skywalker. It was that bad. It was really, really fucking bad. If we can go outside the main episodes, I would throw the Clone Wars animated movie up there, which is just a fucking fiasco and a dumpster fire of a movie, but yeah. Yeah, I kind of like the Undertaker Big Show team in 99. I thought they were pretty good. Favorite Metallica song? Weird answer, but I always like Nothing Else Matters, or what? Am I getting the name of that song right? But I always like that song. Very melancholy and kind of depressing, but it was always good. Which did you fall in love with first, football or wrestling? Wrestling. I got into that very, very young. Football, real sports for some reason when I was really, really young, like baseball and football and that type of stuff, I didn't get into it right away. Wrestling was my first love, and it wasn't until I was around like 9 or 10 that I really started to appreciate real sports. When will wrestling die? I couldn't answer that. Nobody can begin to answer that. Favorite Super Bowl that didn't include the Giants? I believe it was Super Bowl 34 or 35. It was Rams and Titans. I don't remember the exact number, but it was Rams and Titans, and it ended on my favorite defensive play in Super Bowl history, which was the tackle. And that's one that I thought was a great, great moment, one of those all-time classic football moments. And I didn't dislike either team, so I could just appreciate the game for what it was, and I really liked it for that. Do you get why Martin Scorsese said the things he said about Marvel superhero movies? To me, Martin Scorsese, when it comes to film, he can say whatever the fuck he wants. He is a all-time great filmmaker, and whatever opinion he has, he is validated in saying whatever the fuck he wants. And I think, yeah, he has a point. I think that superhero movies have become oversaturated. I think a lot of big blockbusters have become like theme park rides and creating the theater experience rather than actually putting on a good movie. I think he's absolutely. He has a point. I don't completely agree with him, but I think he has a point. Do you think if we only got A New Hope, it would still be fondly remembered? I think so, because that first movie was like a huge, 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 huge hit. I think it would be fondly remembered, absolutely. Okay, Sabaton. I'll have to check that out. Sabaton? I'll have to check that out. You can play Nothing Else Matters on guitar, you lucky bastard. That's pretty awesome. Do you think Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies get enough credit? No, they tend to get overlooked nowadays. They were huge hits back then, but I think what you see now with the MCU, I think you can trace it back to the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. They were kind of the Richard Donner Superman movies of their day, and I think MCU drew a lot of inspiration from those. You want to follow in your ancestors' footsteps by raising cattle. I'm like, hey, that's cool. What's the tackle? At the end of the game, the Titans were down by a touchdown, and they were driving and had a chance to tie the game. And the receiver caught the ball and got tackled and was 1 yard short of the goal line. And that, to me, is one of the most dramatic moments I've ever seen in a football game. It was great. What would you have felt if you were a Falcons fan after Super Bowl 51? I still wouldn't have gotten over it. It's like, how the fuck do you blow that lead in the Super Bowl, you fucking useless hacks? Favorite basketball game ever? I mean, it's got to be one of Michael Jordan's classic games, like the flu game or something like that. Those are the ones that really stand out. Like, because Michael Jordan was such an icon back in the day, that there's so many great moments associated with him that those are the ones that stand out. Favorite scene from each Toy Story movie? From one, I really like Woody and Buzz's talk while Sid is sleeping. That whole scene I think is great. Toy Story 2, I like the Jesse's backstory, that whole like montage that they did. That was heartbreaking. And in Toy Story 3, it's the incinerator scene. I like the dark, depressing stuff. I don't know. Rank the Spider-Man movies. I would say the worst one is... Well, I really didn't like the Amazing Spider-Man movies, so it's like Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Amazing Spider-Man 1 I didn't really care for. Then I would say, like, the MCU Spider-Man movies, so let's say Far From Home and then Homecoming, which were good movies, but not, like, they didn't knock my socks off. And then... Okay, let's put Spider-Man 3, like, in between the MCU and the Amazing Spider-Man movies. Because Spider-Man 3, I didn't hate it, but it obviously had some issues. Then let's go... It's some order between, like, Spider-Man 1 and 2 and Into the Spider-Verse. So let's say... Let's go 3 is Spider-Man 1, then 2 would be Into the Spider-Verse, and then 1 would be Spider-Man 2. I'd say that's probably how I would go with it. Thoughts on WrestleMania 7? It was my favorite WrestleMania as a kid. So I love that WrestleMania. It was one of my favorites. Favorite memory as a baseball fan? Cal Ripken breaking the record. I remember being glued to the TV for that game. That was an amazing game. And also the World Series between the... Oh, God, what was it? I think it was the Dodgers and the Cubs. That went all the way to Game 7, and there was a rain out in Game 7. And so I stayed up till 1:30 in the morning waiting for that game to end. And it was probably the best baseball game I've ever watched. And another one happened... last year, my dad is a big Nats fan. And so the Nats won the World Series in Game 7 and came back and won at the end. And that phone call I had with Dad afterwards, right after the game ended, was great. Because Dad sounded like he was choked up. And I'm like, that's great. That's great. It's great when sports are able to touch people like that. Spider-Man Homecoming or Far From Home? I would say Homecoming was the better movie. I think so. Mainly because Vulture was a pretty good villain. Played by Michael Keaton. I thought all that came off really well. What wrestling storylines does everyone else like but you don't? I can't think of anything off the top. I can't think of one where I fucking hated it and everybody else... Oh! I didn't hate this, but everybody was on board with the MVP Matt Hardy feud, and I didn't get it. I was just kind of like... They just do skits every show, and they're competing with each other in, like, pie-eating contests and other shit. I don't get it. Like, what's... But people were marking out for that shit. I just didn't understand it. 1 yard short. Yep, that was that Super Bowl. 1 yard short. On my farm, I would love to make bear traps to kill coyotes, but making bear traps on farmland is illegal. That's the greatest thing anyone's ever said to me. I don't know why. Would you ever do a Super Bowl Memories 2 on the Giants-Pats rematch? I would, but it would be kind of depressing because that Super Bowl happened, and my family, to kind of give you an idea of what we were going through, that Super Bowl happened the year after my brother passed away. So when the Giants won that Super Bowl, it kind of felt like this weird, like, cosmic thing where it's like our family got like a break with the Giants winning the Super Bowl. It gave us something to feel good about after a really lousy year after my brother passed away. My friend hates the MCU for not being like the comics. Do you know fans like that? Yes, I do. I know a lot of people that are like, oh, these people aren't real fans because they don't read the comics or whatever. But yeah, I know people like that. The 1988 All-Star Game is your favorite basketball game of all time. Yeah, that's... God, Michael Jordan would have been playing at that point, right? Yeah, he was there. Who's your favorite True Joker? Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill, to me, will always be the true... You forgot Toy Story 4. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. That movie... Look, it's not a bad movie... the entire time I was watching it, I was like, what the fuck is the point of this movie? It's just such a pointless movie. I remember watching Super Bowl 43 when Larry Fitzgerald scored to put the Cardinals ahead. I just remember thinking, oh my God, there's too much time left. Yeah, and that Super Bowl, I think back on it and I'm like, I feel like the referees botched the call there at the end. I feel like that from Kurt Warner. I feel like that was a forward pass and should have been ruled an incomplete pass. But they ruled it a fumble and it was the end of the game. And I was like, I didn't like that call. Cubs and Indians, that was that game. Okay, yeah, that was Cubs and Indians. Do you remember who the Orioles played when Cal Ripken broke the record? No, because it didn't matter. I was watching history, so I honestly don't remember who they were playing at the time. I don't even remember if the Orioles won that game, to be honest. Like, I just remember just having tears in my eyes at such a young age of watching Cal Ripken break that record, which we were getting to a point where we were like, okay, I hope he breaks the records. And when he did, it was an amazing moment. I didn't dislike the MVP Matt Hardy feud. It's just that a lot of people got super invested in it, and I didn't understand why. It's like, to me, this is filler. I just didn't get it. Villain superhero films you'd love to see in the future. I'd love to see a Justice League Dark movie if they could do it right. That would be nice. Like Toy Story 4 better than Frozen 2. I didn't see Frozen 2, so I can't compare the two. MVP was a guy I never saw the appeal in. I just didn't get it. I know he's back now. I haven't watched him since he's been back, but... The Orioles played the Angels that day. Okay, cool. Missed opportunity to have Bo Peep fall in the drain in that opening scene in Toy Story 4. Damn. Make it darker. Make it fucking darker. Well, I've heard some people say 43 is the greatest Super Bowl of all time, which it's up there, but I'm kind of like, yeah, the referees had some calls I didn't like, but there were some like great plays there, like the Santonio Holmes the toe touch catch, James Harrison's 100-yard touchdown the interception run back. Yeah, there was some really good stuff in that game. Toy Story 4 is better than other Pixar sequels like Finding Dory, which Finding Dory, it was cute, but it didn't stick with me. Cars 2 I never saw, Cars 3 I never saw, Monster University I never saw, so I really can't compare them. Worst Super Bowls of all time. Well, I mean, Seahawks and Broncos from a few years ago. That one was a fiasco. Patriots and Rams from a couple years ago. That was the worst game ever. Because I hated that championship Sunday and how everything played out. So when I saw the game, I was like, oh, it's like both teams don't deserve to be here or something. Because it was horrible. Worst Disney animated film. Black Cauldron's pretty high up there. I don't know if it's the worst, but it's pretty high up there. People told me that Home on the Range was terrible, but I never saw it. But Disney animated films, you want bad ones. Some of the direct-to-video sequels were pretty bad. Most overrated movie in your opinion? I never understood Forrest Gump. Like, being like the movie of the year and all that other stuff. It's not a bad movie, but people told me it's amazing. And I was like, I like Pulp Fiction more. Which came out the same year, but... Besides NFL players, who are some of the sporting athletes you hated growing up? Roberto Alomar pissed me off, and he played for the Orioles, and I fucking hated him because he was such a tool. Dennis Rodman I fucking hated as a kid. I've come to respect him more, especially after watching The Last Dance, but I couldn't stand him when I was a kid. What's the funniest Jim Cornette rant shoot you've ever seen? His first rant on Russo was great, and also his detailing of the Montreal Screwjob was pretty amazing, too. Worst movie adaptations of books. I never liked the Bakshi version of Lord of the Rings. Some people like that movie, and I was like, this thing sucks. That was one that stands out to me. Have you ever seen Atlantis, the Lost Empire, and Treasure Planet? I have seen Atlantis, and I thought it was okay. It could have been great if they tweaked a few things, but overall I thought it was an honest attempt at trying something different, and I thought it was okay. Treasure Planet I never saw. I have a friend who orgasms whenever she watches Forrest Gump. Like, legitimately orgasms? Do you like Roma? I've never seen it. What are some things you do and watch to get you in the mood for Christmas? Well, I have this tradition. Every year when I'm wrapping Christmas presents, I make some hot cocoa, I spike it with whiskey, and then I wrap Christmas gifts while Die Hard is on the TV. That's something I do to kind of get me in the mood for Christmas. The COVID-19 shows for Dark Side of the Ring. Yeah, that's an obvious one to do. I've never seen Killing Eve. No, should probably check that out. Thoughts on ASMR? What's ASMR? I don't know what that is. I feel like I should know what that is. Let me look it up. Yeah, no, I'm looking it up. ASMR, it signifies the subjective experience of low-grade euphoria characterized by a combination of positive feelings and a distinct static-like tingling sensation on the skin. That sounds great. I don't know anything about that, though. A-Rod, oh my god. Yeah. She just gets excited and happy. Okay. Does Nicolas Cage deserve the hate? No, Nicolas Cage is great. Yeah, but he's an actor that just goes to the 10th degree, and I love watching him. Robert Pickton was arrested. Do you know of him and what he did? No, I don't. The name doesn't ring a bell. It's a rabbit hole of some shit. I'll take your word for it. I will take your word for it. Favorite and least favorite Jim Carrey movies? It's funny, because I was a kid at the time when he was having, like, big hits like Dumb and Dumber and Ace Ventura, and I liked those movies when I was younger. They didn't age as well. I like Liar Liar a lot. Of his earlier work, that's one that really stands out to me. And The Truman Show is very good. Those are probably my two favorite Jim Carrey movies. What's worse, the Tom Cruise Mummy or Van Helsing? I never watched the Tom Cruise Mummy, but I know that that's a fucking fiasco. Van Helsing had its fun, but I mean, it's a stupid, cheesy, stupid, very stupid movie, but it's kind of fun in how stupid it is. Yeah. I'm so sorry about that, Alex. I wouldn't want to be called A-Rod either. What's the most frustrating thing that ever happened to you in school? Well, silent lunch. That was a big one. But I had this teacher in middle school that fucking hated my guts. And it made me kind of a nervous wreck because she hated me. And so it was like I was doing worse and worse in her class because she just made me such a frantic mess. And it got to a point where I was like, I didn't want to go to school because I just didn't want to sit in her classroom anymore because I just couldn't. She made me a nervous wreck, and that's something I look back on where it's like, why did I give her so much control over me? Because it was like every day. She was saying something that would, and it was funny because the other kids knew that she hated me. Like, the other kids were like, dude, why does she hate you so much? And I'm like, I don't know. And here's how bad it got. She graded one of my projects and gave us all the grade, and I'm looking at the paper, and I could not read what my grade was because it looked like a scribble. And I was like, I don't know what this means. I'm looking at the paper, I'm like, I have no idea what this means. And I showed it to my friends, and they couldn't read it either. And they were like, just go up there and ask her. And I'm like, dude, I'm not going up there because she's going to yell at me and tell me I don't know how to read. And that's going to be the thing I get hit with. And I'm like, I'm not doing it. So to this day, I don't know what my grade was on that thing. I made the assumption that it was a B+, because that's what it looked the most like, but that was just an assumption on my part. So that's how, like, intimidated I was by her. And I hated feeling that way. And there were other strict teachers, but that one just made me hate going to school, and that's not a good feeling to have. Still can't believe Nick Cage was almost cast as Superman. Me neither. That's a weird thing. Did you watch the Sonic the Hedgehog movie? I never did. I was not a big enough fan of Sonic to really get excited about a movie, so it was not something that was on my radar. People told me that if you're a Sonic fan, you'll like the movie, which is about as good as you could possibly hope. But again, I'm not a big enough Sonic fan to where I'm like, oh, I gotta check out that movie. Liar, liar, those courtroom scenes are incredible, I think. Like, part of me wishes the entire movie had been in the courtroom, because it's just amazing. What's the stupidest opinion you've ever seen on wrestling on the internet? Back when I was on the internet in 98, people were telling me that it's like, oh, they shouldn't push Rock because he sucks, and they shouldn't push Goldberg because he sucks. And I'm like, Rock is one of the hottest guys going right now, and he has potential to be world champion, and Goldberg is like the shit in WCW right now. What the fuck are you talking about? So, I remember getting online at the time, and I was like, that's stupid. Robert Picton was a pig farmer in British Columbia who killed lots of prostitutes. He butchered their remains after killing them and fed them to the pigs. That's horrifying. How have I not seen a documentary on this guy? There's got to be a documentary on that because that's just such an insane story. John Williams, more Superman or Star Wars? Well, I mean Star Wars is more where my heart is, but his Superman theme is really good. Favorite Harry Potter moment and movie? My favorite movie is probably Chamber of Secrets, even though for some reason that's the movie everybody hates, but I like the murder mystery aspect of it. It was one of my favorite books, too, when I read the books. I like Chamber of Secrets, and people kind of shit on that one. But favorite moment? Probably, I remember reading the books and being super excited for the Dumbledore-Voldemort battle in Order of the Phoenix. I thought that was pretty cool. If you could have any actors alive or dead to play Dracula and Van Helsing, who would they be? Oh, God, that is so hard. Because most of my picks are the ones that have already played them, so it's like, what's the point? God, I can't think of one. And so many people have played them, I honestly can't think of one. Basil Rathbone might have made an interesting Van Helsing. He may have played Van Helsing at some point, and I just don't know about it. But Basil Rathbone would have been interesting to see. Anthony Hopkins, who played Van Helsing in the Bram Stoker's Dracula version, I kind of want to see what he would have been like as Dracula. That would have been kind of neat. Do you think dating sites are horseshit? The current girl I'm seeing I met off of a dating app, so... I mean, I've had a lot of bad experiences off of dating apps and shit like that, but, I've had my good ones too, and I'm currently entangled in a good one. Or at least it's good so far. I had a teacher in high school who played favorites and didn't hide it. Yeah, I've been there. Booking doesn't matter. I've never heard that one, but that's pretty stupid. Were you on CompuServe? No, I was not on CompuServe. Picton was arrested after the meat he was sending to his local meatpacking plant contained elements of human DNA. That is horrifying. That is so horrifying. Favorite Rock quote? I hate to go back to it, but the Rock concert, like that whole thing was great. I'll be sure to come back when the Lakers beat the Kings in May. It's good shit. Favorite Stephen King movie adaptation? Probably The Shining. If I'd throw in, I really liked it. I actually liked the movie more than the book. Wish you prefer Brett versus Owen at Mania 10 or the cage match at SummerSlam 94. I would go the Mania match. Just because of the shock of Owen winning. I think that added an extra layer of interest. Was it Tinder? No, Tinder's awful. You meet horrible people on Tinder. Did you ever do AOL chat rooms? I used to fuck with people in AOL chat rooms. That was great. Because I would do the whole thing where it's like... Because I'd heard like a lot of pedophiles were frequenting AOL chat rooms. So I would do the things where I'm like, I'm 9 years old. I'm a 9-year-old male from so-and-so. And I would get responses from like creepy pedophiles trying to talk to me. I did that type of shit. Granted, I was 14 at the time, so 14 would have been a good enough age to attract the unsavory folk. But I just liked fucking with people. It doesn't matter what your favorite rock quote is. I hate the rock concert. I'm a Kings fan. Fair point. Alright, so I think we're winding down here. We've got less than 10 minutes to 6 o'clock. So I'll let you get your final questions in and we'll talk about calling it a day. And you all can go watch Extreme Rules. Any more questions for me before I go? Jeff Hardy beat the Great Khali on SmackDown, like by pinfall? I don't remember seeing that. Oh yeah, the Tyson Austin moment was great. That's one of those all-time classics. Yeah, AOL chat rooms. That was part of that Wild Wild West element of the internet that I kind of miss, where you could just fuck with people unrelentingly. It was great. Thoughts on Kingsman? I love the first movie. Second movie, but I really, really enjoyed the first movie. And I thought Samuel L. Jackson was fucking hilarious in it. You think Extreme Rules will be a decent show? I haven't watched any WWE, so I have no idea. Dark Side of the Ring, Jim Cornette. They could do that, honestly. Just the whole profile of Jim Cornette burning bridges left and right. What have the last 10 years on YouTube meant to you? A nice way to connect with people and to have fun and to just talk about shit that I'm into. And a nice distraction from the other craziness going on in my real life. So it's something I've really appreciated having. What was your AOL name? NYG for Life 123? No, it wasn't. It was, God, what was my, I don't remember what my AOL name was back then. I had several. Like, I would change it up because, I would fuck with people for a while, then those would go away, and then it's like, alright, I gotta change the name to kind of shake things up. Have you ever had a story about a girl being a bitch to you in high school? Not really. I got rejected by a couple, but not to a degree where I was like, oh wow, fuck that bitch. I never had that. Thank you, Flo, I appreciate it. What is your favorite Extreme Rules or One Night Stand? Probably the second, it was the second ECW reunion show. Well, I'd say probably the first two ECW reunion shows are my favorites. That's what I would say. I have a crush on my friend's sister, but dating my friend's sister is a risk. I've been in that situation. It can create some problems. Ugandan Knuckles versus Big Chungas. Who would win? I don't know. My favorite series from you was the Godzilla review series. Thanks for that, Patrick. Thank you. Glad you appreciated it. I had a girl reject me for not liking My Chemical Romance. I've had girls reject me for not liking Doctor Who, so I know what that feels like. Yeah, see, I'm worried about doing live streams where I, watch stuff and react to them because I got cut short the last time, so that was kind of frustrating. But I'm open to doing more live streams. I should probably do that. My Chemical Romance, that's a band, isn't it? Didn't they do Kane's theme song in, 03 or something? I seem to remember that. 02, 03? Little bit of beer left. No, but no, didn't My Chemical Romance, didn't they do Kane's theme song when he had lyrics? Anybody know? I've had girls reject me because I exist. That's depressing. But no, seriously, one of the best ways to win a girl over is to just be, and I know it's terrible advice because it's like, how do you just be confident? But it's like, dude, just chill, relax, don't let them know you're nervous or that you're worried about something, and just talk to them like they're people. And that's the best way to do it. Finger 11 did Kane's theme. Okay. The song was called Slow Chemical. Okay, that's where I screwed up. Okay, that makes more sense. Whitesnake is a great band. I really enjoy Whitesnake too. And also, their name's a penis joke. I mean, come on, who doesn't like that? But, okay, I think we're done here. I think I'm going to wrap this up. And once again, thank you to everyone who has ever inspired me or supported me in my 10 years on YouTube. It's been a blast, and I've really enjoyed it. And thank you to everybody that participated in today's stream. I had a lot of fun doing it. I was glad that I was able to find the time to actually do something like that. But, yeah, it's been a really fun 10 years, and I've appreciated everything that I've been given and everything that I've done during that time. And thanks again, everybody, to supporting me. But that is all I have for you right now. I'm going to let you all get off, and you all get ready for Extreme Rules. So I will have more video projects for you in the near future, so be on the lookout for those. But thanks again, everybody. Really appreciate it. But I'm signing off here, so thanks again, and enjoy what's left of your weekend.